public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly, or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the blinking signal controversy continued on throughout the day yesterday, as we discussed quite a bit last morning. Much anticipated. The Dems and their D.C. press corps are going to try to make something of this, beyond the obvious that this was an error. It was embarrassing, but is there anything really more here that speaks of scandal or incompetence, particularly given the successful nature of the mission in question, the military strike against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen? Well, there was a press avail in the cabinet meeting room yesterday that featured one President again Trump, as well as NSA Mike Walls. And Trump was asked if Walls owes anybody an apology.
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again, at least not in the very near future. What do you think?
That's sure. I agree with you. Let's get everybody in the room whenever possible.
A lot of times you find out defects by exactly things like that, but I don't think it's something we're looking forward to using again. We may be forced to use it. You may be in a situation where you need speed as opposed to gross safety, and you may be forced to use it, but generally speaking, I think we probably won't be using it very much.
So standing by Mike Walls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And Walls did remove much of the controversy or question about who the responsible party was or from whose office responsibility emanated, because he went on Laura Ingram's program to talk about how it happened. What do you think? What do you know? How are you going to find out what you don't know? On the how did it happen, this was Walls' initial response.
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links to lie and smear the president of the United States, and he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that line. He's so defensive that he stinks of being guilty. I mean, just say you made a mistake. We've learned from this horrible. It wasn't a horrible event because nobody died. The only people who died, Dan, were the terrorists in Houthi and the Suez Canal. They're the only ones who died from this. So he's making it worse by just acting as if this was a hoax or a hack of some kind. Because earlier in the day, he just said this about that this was a hoax.
This journalist, Mr. President, wants the world talking about more hoaxes and this kind of nonsense rather than the freedom that you're enabling. And a key part of our sovereignty is open sea lanes and knocking the crap out of terrorists, which is exactly what your team and Pete Hegseth, a good friend and fellow veteran, is leading the charge on.
Yeah, so what Walls, and to some extent you saw Hegseth do this too, they're attempting to pivot back to the success of the attack, which is fine. It's legitimate. It's okay to remind people. They're pivoting back to attacking the messenger, that would be Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, who is an obnoxious, unethical, anti-Trump opinionator. And that's fine, too. But doing it in sort of a ham-handed way, like you heard at the open of that Laura Ingraham interview, is not skillful or helpful. And I know Trump is backing him now, but if this becomes sort of a rolling embarrassment that extends beyond because of the PR handling of it, because you didn't do something simple like saying, look, and you will get to it because he sort of did this. Look, this came from my office, and I'm taking responsibility for it.
Yes.
And we're going to make necessary changes. Exactly what actually Trump said, where he said, look, we want things face-to-face in the Situation Room. National security is a face-to-face business, but sometimes speed will necessitate a less secure environment, but there's still ways to do this to make sure. I mean, I've got some questions about this we'll get to based on what Wall said, but his taking responsibility, well, this was him doing it on Ingram's show.
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So a staffer did not put his contact information.
No,
but how did it end up in your phone?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That's what we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone? I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact and then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in,
you that
it gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was?
So
on
the
chat?
person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Okay.
So. But look, that's the part that we have to figure out.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess there's a couple of things. One is I take responsibility. I'm not going to throw a staffer under the bus. Okay, fine. The president is backing him. That's okay, fine. We have the best people in technology on this. I mean, unless there's some evidence of a hack, this really isn't a technology question. It's a
human
who
error.
made what mistake question. So he suggests that somebody was not on the call who should have been on the call, and that it was his name, but Jeffrey Goldberg. I mean, the only thing that makes sense based on what he said was it was this guy's name that was supposed to be on the call, but it was Jeffrey Goldberg's number associated with this guy's name. Maybe there's another Goldberg that should have been on the call. I don't know. Our friend Rich Goldberg from a Foundation for Freedom and Democracy? Probably not, because he's not in the government anymore. But
no, but still,
I mean,
he'd be a better choice.
It's possible that there was a name mistake, or it's scrolling a data entry mistake. But Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic said he got an invite from Mike Walls to connect to him on Signal, and he was suspicious of it being a hoax on that side, because it's like, is this somebody, because he knows what Trump world thinks of him, is this somebody trying to insinuate themselves into, into my professional life, to jackpot me in some way, whatever. Didn't believe at first that was the actual NSA, Mike Wallace. Okay, so the invite was initiated from Mike Wallace, if you believe the Goldberg story, which needs to be checked out too. But I mean, it sort of stands to reason. How else does he get access to being in that universe if he hadn't been invited into it? I don't think Jeffrey Goldberg is a particularly accomplished cyber hacker. The other thing, though, that Walt said about getting to the bottom of this and so on and so forth, you're making this more complicated than it needs to be. Right. I think if this was not an inside job, if there's no reason to believe that, if this was not a hack, which seems highly unlikely, then somebody messed up. But the other thing about that is Goldberg was in that chat for 13 days. Right. He says, watching the back and forth. If you're supposed to be in a meeting at that level and you're not in it, doesn't somebody notice because you're not contributing anything? Or doesn't the person who was supposed to be in that meeting communicate to any of the other dozen plus people that were in the chat room saying, I'm not in this chat room. Does somebody want to fold me into this chat room? I thought I was supposed to be part of the chat about the strikes against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen.
Very good point.
If it was that mistaken identity thing, how come nobody picked up for 13 days?
And my point of contention, why are they high government officials using a retail app that many people have on their phones? I mean, you said you use this app on your phone, right, to communicate with people? Yeah, well, John Radcliffe... I just think that maybe we need a new way to communicate in the government.
Yeah, it's not the only... I think that's totally overwrought. I know what Trump said, but probably shouldn't use it. We use the situation room. Yes, I agree. But there is these sort of speed versus security dynamic at all times. And John Radcliffe actually addressed this before the Senate Intelligence Committee yesterday, the CIA director.
I can confirm.
Director Radcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you.
Can I provide some context, Senator, to that?
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset you made a couple of comments about signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement, the statement, the signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is.
I've got a series of
decryption. So to
finish, I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So my communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make
clear.
That.
So that adds some clarity to it, even if it's not the preferred forum for communication, number one. Number two, it raises the other issue, whether or not there was classified information that was discussed in that Signal chat room, which there seems to be some dispute about. And we'll pick that up and take your calls on it at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 32 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560. The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is taking responsibility for a recent information leak. This week, Atlantic journalist Jeffrey Goldberg reported he was added to a group text with multiple high-ranking officials discussing plans for U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. In a report with Lauren Ingram, Waltz says he takes full responsibility for putting the group together. During the interview, Waltz implied Goldberg somehow deliberately appeared in the group, calling the journalist a loser. Mayor Johnson has only a few days to figure out how to close the Chicago budget gap. One of the main issues involves his effort to get the Chicago Public Schools to reimburse the city for a disputed pension payment. Board of Education President Sean Hardin postponed a vote last week on approving a $175 million pension payment from CPS to the city. It was a clear sign that there wasn't enough votes. Hardin said the delay was due to an imminent contract agreement with the Chicago Teachers Union. Over the weekend, 7 board members sent Hardin a letter saying they will not vote for a pension payment. Mayor Johnson's office says that they will continue working with the board to find a solution. News is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk says the courts are out of control.
Understand that the sovereign, the power in America, has been primarily concentrated into 2 buckets the last 100 years, into the unelected bureaucracy and the unelected courts. The courts are totally out of control right now, everybody. The sovereign is actually in the people, and that's why we have presidents.
The Charlie Kirk Show, afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, folks, your friend Sean Hannity here. Sadly, imagine a scenario where you or your loved ones face a threat. Your first instinct might be to resort to lethal force, but it is crucial to consider a safer, less lethal alternative first to avoid the legal complications associated with deadly firearms. Byrna's less lethal pistol launcher is equipped with tear gas, kinetic ammunition. It's designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Here's a real-life account from a Byrna customer named Adam. Now, Adam encountered a road rage driver who aggressively approached him. Adam dialed 911, armed himself with his Byrna launcher. He aimed the laser at the aggressor's chest. The driver returned to his vehicle and awaited the police. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. It requires no background checks, can be shipped directly to your door. Just go to Byrna.com/Hannity. You get 10% off as a discount. That's BYRNA.com/Hannity. And check out their videos while you're there.
This is Chris Stigall for Townhall.com. The fast-approaching Wisconsin Supreme Court election isn't just a local squabble. It really is a national tipping point. On April 1st, Wisconsin will choose between common sense judicial review with Brad Schimmel or radical leftism with Susan Crawford. Why does this matter? Well, it shapes America's future. A Crawford win lets liberals redraw congressional maps, costing Republicans 2 House seats, and guts their majority. Democrats know their power now comes from radical judges, not elected politicians. This race means everything to Democrats. Lose this, and believe me, they'll do all they can to kill Trump's agenda, including his efforts to deport violent illegals, stopping fraud, tax cuts, and DOGE. Schimmel is the firewall. Judicial sanity, voter ID, America first. Wisconsin decides America's fate. Early voting is underway now. Wisconsinites vote today, like our country depends on it, because it does. I'm Chris Stigall.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. The Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, it's also 14 minutes. Inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 7 minutes. Outbound, it'll be about 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower from the Wolf to the old post office, 12 minutes. Outbound, about 12 minutes. The Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 15 minutes, about 14 minutes the opposite direction. And on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne interchange, 11 minutes. It's also going to be about 10 minutes the opposite direction. There is a stall on the right shoulder at 35th Street. Traffic's a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds around the area today. High 52. Cloudy with a shower in spots late tonight, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning. Breezy, high 54. Increasingly windy on Friday. Shower and thunderstorm, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the blinking signal scandal, the signal chat room, Trump weighing in, backing his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, saying basically he's a good guy, made a mistake, not a big deal. And what was planned was executed successfully, and let's focus on the outcomes and move on. Probably the right approach, as long as Mike Waltz, with some of the damage control that he is engaged in doing, doesn't extend this beyond its natural life, which I'm concerned he's doing with some of what he said on Laura Ingram's show last night as we were discussing. Something else as well that Pete Hegseth said about classified information. So this was Hegseth on the tarmac yesterday being asked about the controversy, his participation. And here was his response. It will strike you as eerily similar to Mike Walz's response, where you start with an attack on the reporter, the opinionator, I should say, Jeffrey Goldberg.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
Yeah, I mean, so now are we going to get into a definition of what constitutes war plans? Right. I mean, Goldberg saying that he was on the chat when there were specific discussions about time and place and weaponry to be used. Yeah. And so this is what I'm saying. I don't really understand. Trump actually made it quite simple, and I think he played it right yesterday. I'm not sure Walz and Hegseth are playing it right. Here's the bottom line. This is one way to do it. Here's the bottom line. A mistake was made to obviously include that Atlantic opinionator in the conversation. We probably know who made the mistake, and it will be dealt with internally. But it was just an honest mistake by an otherwise dutiful, competent staffer. It happens. Made a mistake. It's a bad one. Just a mistake. Number two, the attack was successful. What we plotted out was successful. Number three, this is a well-known antagonist of the administration, a well-established prevaricator who does not have the interests of the administration at heart, who does not have the interests of the American people at heart. And so this is an attempt by a left that is flailing to try to grab onto something that they can use against this administration whose policies the American public otherwise supports. How about something, and that's it. Without getting into the details about, was it a staffer? Give me the who, where, and what of when the meeting was set up and who included which addresses and was technically classified information discussed or not discussed. Radcliffe says no. Hexeth seems to say, at least Radcliffe says he didn't. Hexeth says no. Jeffrey Goldberg seems to indicate possibly, depending on what constitutes classified information, depending on what constitutes what falls in the definition of war plans. I mean, all of the sort of less than direct language on these topics just foments more questions and theories and puts air into the story that it probably otherwise doesn't deserve.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, the mission was a success. And again, nobody died. No Americans died. And, you know, it's not like 13 people died in Benghazi and they called that a success. Remember that when the Biden administration? What would you do differently? Nothing. Okay, 13 people died. They don't care. So I just think Walz is a little defensive right now. I think he needs to just not go on the Sunday talk shows, just leave it at that at the Laura Ingraham. And we got an interview. That's enough. I don't think he should do any more media interviews.
Not like that, he shouldn't. Walz was asked if, the possibility that you have some enemy inside the perimeter here that was attempting some sort of sabotage.
No. Look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward. And then just in the days before, what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out people that the Biden team never could, that we took out headquarters, missile caches, and actually one of the leaders of the Houthi organization, we've since taken out several since. And, that's what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the success here. They don't want to talk about the hostages getting released. They don't want to talk about the Black Sea ceasefire that we just put in place today as the president ends the largest land war in Europe, or the border, or the fact that Panama just kicked China out of the canal, and success after success after success. So they want to focus on this. It's embarrassing, yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened.
I mean, is this really if it's not an inside job and it wasn't a hack, and there's no reason to believe it was, then I mean, is this really a job for Elon? It seems like you're pumping this up into something it isn't. He did that too when he started out by saying, I don't necessarily believe in conspiracy theories, but how did this guy who's such an antagonist of the administration get in, of all people, Jeffrey Goldberg? Well, just skip all that. Skip all that and say, we're working to get to the bottom of it. How long does it take to get to the bottom of it? Your office set up the chat. You just said that. Right. It's legitimate. We know that from John Radcliffe going through what he just testified to yesterday before the Senate Intelligence Committee. You and Hexeth contend no classified information was discussed in that chat. Okay, check. So then we're just down to the mission being a success and the guy being an antagonist. We made a mistake. I know who it is. I'm dealing with it. It's my responsibility. The president backs me, and that's the end of it. That's the end of it. All this other stuff it's just all this fluff and silliness, and it's the sort of the misdirection you expect from the left. Don't give me your laundry list of they don't want to talk about border security and the release of the hostages and this and that and on down the line. Just stick to the topic so we can get out of it. It's not that complicated. And I agree with you. When you start going off on all these tangents, these long-winded tangents in response to simple, direct questions, it does make you look defensive. It does make you look like you're hiding something or that you're being less than forthright.
Lots of text messages on this, including it says if phones were preloaded, Dan and Amy, Were the contacts already preloaded? If so, who at NSA loaded and had Goldberg under another name? Like they had his number under somebody else's name.
Right,
and you brought that up earlier, like who was supposed to be on the chain that wasn't.
They're not preloading contacts because I highly doubt that. There's no indication that that's the case. Number one. Number two, what does it matter? I mean, the point is that, and again, Goldberg said he got an invite, and this is recently from Mike Walls. Now, again, we can say, well, I want confirmation on that. Fine, let's get confirmation on it. This shouldn't take Mike Walls with the scale of controversy. They should know, and they probably do know what happened, so they should get to it.
Well, he's now threatening to release the text messages because he doesn't like what Pete and Mike Walls.
You're talking about Jeffrey Goldberg.
Jeffrey Goldberg. Yeah,
he's talking about releasing more of the messages. Yeah, that's the point. That just keep it to the four corners and move on. And when you go offer these stem winders, like you heard from Walls and to a lesser extent from Hegseth, you create, as I said, more air under the story and more potential problems, more opportunities for the story to be extended when a simple acknowledgement of responsibility and embarrassment associated with this big mistake would be sufficient, barring any evidence of anything more nefarious than that, especially when you have the president's backing as he had yesterday. Tom in Oswego.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm a small business owner, and I agree with you, Dan. Just keep it short, to the point, figure out what happened. Give me an hour, and I'll tell you what happened. It's not complicated. And Mike Walls, I'm all for Trump and his administration. He needs to stop doing TV shows. Just figure out what happened, apologize, and move on.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, we don't need a blue ribbon commission. We don't need the Doge team. The Doge team, I should say. I mean, again, you're the national security advisor. This group was organized by you. You just said it. So now go to the group who organized it with you and figure out what happened. That should take 5 minutes.
All people ever want to hear in every aspect of life is, I'm sorry it happened. It won't happen again. That's it. Keep it simple.
Well, especially in politics where nobody ever makes a mistake. Mistakes make themselves. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yeah, thanks for being there for us, Dan and Amy. I can't understand why the initials and a phone number of that so-called reporter is in Walls' phone. That had to be intentionally put in there and preserved. Nobody's ever talked about that. And
yeah, we've talked about it. We've talked about it many. Yes, we've talked about it. We've talked about it already again this morning. We talked about it yesterday. Yeah. Goldberg says he got an invite from Mike Walls to connect to him on Signal, and Goldberg thought it was initially like it was a hoax. He was suspicious of it because he recognizes the relationship he has with Trump and Trump world.
Right.
But he accepted it, and then somehow, once he's accepted, somehow he was included in this chat group. And again, Walls' contention is it was a name of somebody who should have been in the chat group, but it was connected to Jeffrey Goldberg's phone number. That's what we know, or that's what we that's what we know to the best of our knowledge at this point. Barring evidence to the contrary, all these qualifications. Tom in Elgin.
Yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'll say it out loud. I want to know, how long has Waltz been in the administrative state, and we're already got leaking out of the top, and I was just wondering, for me, I just think that he just looks so guilty. Anyway, that's all I got.
He's jumpy, man. Tom. That's for sure.
Well,
he's uncomfortable to explain himself. When he's explaining himself, I just don't like.
Yeah, not everybody's a great communicator, particularly if they feel they're on defense. But he hasn't been there that long. First of all, he's not part of the administrative state. He was a member of Congress for 3 terms, and he was Army Special Forces before that. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a guy who's honorably served our country. I'm not denigrating Mike Walls in his service to our country, in his qualifications to be NSA, none of that. I'm just criticizing him in terms of that damage control that we saw yesterday, which was unnecessarily complicated. That's my point. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys.
I think Trump needs to grab the whole lot of these clowns and get them in his office, sit them down, and read them the riot act on what they're doing wrong and how to handle it in the future to do a lot of the stuff that you've been talking about this morning. It's just astonishing that Trump's the one who comes out the best on this. The guy who sticks his foot in his mouth incessantly, is doing the best job of controlling this. If this guy goes on the Sunday talkies, he'll be out of a job next week. I just, I don't see anything else happening.
Thanks for the call, Greg.
Rein him in.
George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, how about handling it like the haughty Hillary? What difference does it make?
Yeah, I'm hearing over the last 24 hours a lot. Don't you ever talk about Hillary Clinton's server again and so forth. I mean, for the left to offer that comparison, that is apples and orange groves. That is ridiculous. This, by all accounts, by all evidence to date, was a mistake. Hillary Clinton purposely created a server outside of the realm of State Department protocols for the purposes of privately exchanging or trafficking in classified information. Largely, I think a reasonable conclusion can be drawn that it was part of the family's larger scheme, larger influence peddling scheme to seed the Clinton Foundation with money for Chelsea and Hillary and Bill's golden years. I mean, to compare that to a guy who makes a mistake about putting a guy on, even though this is highly sensitive, it's an embarrassing mistake, terrible, but to compare that to what appears to be an honest mistake about including somebody who shouldn't have been included and not having somebody who should have been included in a Signal chat is absurd. Absurd. So, yeah, don't let people get away with making these false equivalences between what Hillary did and what happened with that Signal chat room, for sure. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Thanks for getting to me, Dan and Amy, so quick. 13 days Goldman was on. What was he doing on for 13 days?
Watching.
Years ago, my name was confused with an engineer, and I was getting personal information. And I immediately said, you got the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
So what was Goldman?
You're a good engineer.
For 13 days.
And what was the nature of the information you were getting exactly, Bob?
It was one of their engineering projects. I'm getting the communication between him and the architect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Anything nefarious going on there?
Yeah, I was looking for your name in the JFK files, Bob.
No.
Where were you in November of '65? Okay.
All right, Bob. If that's the story you're going with. Okay. Thanks for the call. Yeah, well, he's there. Right. Well, this is the conversation we had yesterday about whether or not Goldberg should have at some point early on disclosed that this was obviously real, and he was in a chat group that he didn't belong in. But on the flip side, I say again, how was the guy that was supposed to be there, that Mike Walsh thought was there, not aware that he wasn't in this chat group he's supposed to be a part of for 2 weeks? That's a little odd, too. But, these are the kinds of questions that get raised when you have a bit of, a bit of a run of the mouth on these matters as opposed to keeping it tight. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and thank you for taking my call. Yeah, when I think about all this stuff, I think of how about 10 years, nothing but lies and all the different kinds of hiding. Here, you got the Supreme Court, Haley, you had Comey, Beasley, you got all kinds of the fake news going on. Nothing ever happened to anybody or anything. So to me, even though there's something, I agree with you, Stan, that there's something here that shouldn't happen and to do so, but the precedent that was set was all this kind of stuff goes on, nothing happens. Nobody loses their job. They didn't even talk about it. at least this Trump, these guys are talking about admitting to what's going on. So there's you talk about a sick double standard between the two, and with the news and everything, it makes me want to vomit.
All right, well, of course, if the D.C. press corps didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. Of course, we know this. Thanks, Greg. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, documentary filmmaker Amy Horowitz has a delightful man on the street piece that he put together around voter ID. First, he asks a bunch of honkies, mostly around the college campus, it appears to me. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to East Harlem to ask black people the same question and ask them about what the honkies said. It is great stuff, and we'll pour over it at 6:06.
And speaking of elections, Trump orders the DHS and DOJ to review state voter rolls. Today it's going to be 52 degrees. It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It's yet another order likely challenged in court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump might get pushback from states to his new executive order requiring them to get proof of citizenship for voters in federal elections and requiring them to only count ballots received by Election Day.
We got to straighten out our election. This country is so sick because of the election, the fake elections and the bad elections.
The president, who's controversially claimed the 2020 election he lost was rigged, is threatening to pull federal funding from states that do not comply. And another executive order he signed dates back to the 2016 election.
So President Trump is directing the FBI to immediately declassify and release all files related to the Russia investigation. So the FBI opened Crossfire Hurricane in July 2016 over allegations that the Trump campaign was colluding with Russian officials to influence the 2016 election. Now, this investigation was picked up by then special counsel Robert Mueller in 2017. But after 2 years of investigating, he did not find any evidence against President Trump or his campaign.
That's Fox's Brooks Sigmund. President Trump standing by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who's taken responsibility for mistakenly inviting a journalist into a group chat discussing military action against Houthi militants in Yemen.
This was not classified. Now, if it's classified information, it's probably a little bit different.
Now, Waltz says he's trying to figure out still how he got Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg's number into the group chat on Signal. Democrats want a full investigation. Senator John Ossoff said to the directors of national intelligence and the CIA at an Intel hearing,
"This is utterly unprofessional. There's been no apology
There has been no recognition of the gravity of this error.
Now, this morning, House Democrats get to question Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe about the security breach. While we await an appeals court ruling on controversial deportation flights a federal judge tried to stop, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem will go today to El Salvador to visit the jail now housing the alleged Venezuelan gang members removed from the U.S. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 32 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A new executive order from President Trump would stop the federal government from using paper checks. The order signed Tuesday would block the Treasury Department from issuing checks for benefits, tax refunds, vendor payments, and intra-government payments effective September 30th. At the same time, the federal government will be required to switch to electronic transfer methods such as direct deposit and prepaid card accounts. The order states the continued use of paper-based payments by the federal government imposes unnecessary costs, delays, risks of fraud, lost payments, theft, and just plain ineffectiveness. Russia and Ukraine are agreeing to a limited ceasefire deal. According to the White House statement, the two countries have agreed to stop fighting in the Black Sea and will work to agree to halt any strikes on energy. It comes after 3 days of negotiations in Saudi Arabia as Ukrainian and Russian delegations met with U.S. mediators separately. No one is hurt after a car crashed into a restaurant in downtown Chicago. The crash happened early Tuesday morning at the Corner Bakery located at Wells in Washington. Police say a driver ran a red light and struck another vehicle. That same driver was issued a citation for failing to reduce speed and disobeying traffic signs. News is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder sets the record straight.
So Obama and Biden took positions regarding Ukraine and Zelensky that Trump took. Except in Trump's case, unlike Obama, who gave Zelensky sheets and blankets, Trump gave them Javelin missiles. And yet people say that Trump is soft on Russia. You people should listen to more talk radio.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
So how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Going to be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150. No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg. Why go through a difficult divorce? Call Bert at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The Edens inbound from Lake County to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, same, about 13 minutes. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, about 11 minutes. It's going to be slow between Addison and Sacramento. The outbound lanes, about 15 minutes. It's slow between Ohio and Costner. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 13 minutes. It's about 13 minutes going the outbound direction. On the Stevenson from Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, about 19 minutes. It's going to be a bit slow between Central Avenue and Kidsey. In the outbound direction, the opposite way, 15 minutes. Traffic's the service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds today, high 52. Cloudy tonight, a shower late, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning, breezy, high 54. It'll be a windy day Friday, clouds in the morning, shower and thunderstorm, and a high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Amy Horowitz, documentary filmmaker. He does some short videos too. Done a couple of good man on the street pieces, including this one. Really fun.
I can't wait to hear this story.
We can, you can describe what you're about to hear. From a third party. As a third party, you can describe it. Intellectually, we can go through, as we have, voter ID laws and respond to the charge from the left that they're somehow racist. Go through, how patronizing the arguments of the left are. But until you really hear them, and until you have black people hear them and respond to them, it doesn't really drive it home.
Okay.
So
you're killing me. You're teasing the heck out of this story. This is why I listen to the show, Dan.
Yeah, right. Well, good. Here's Amy Horowitz talking to honkies first. Okay. Directionally young. I think he's in or around a Columbia, a college campus in New York, but perhaps Columbia. That would be fitting.
An opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad. I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they can get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware or they're not informed. I also think there's a repression of black voting with how if you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to vote and everything. And when you look at swing states like Florida, that's a huge population of the African Americans.
Oh, okay. So what I heard is that blacks are too poor to own a computer, and white farmers and illegals don't have IDs because they're out of touch or live out in the sticks.
Well, the farmers don't have because they don't have fax machines, but that's right. Kamala Harris. But no, for these left-wing honkies, it's right. Blacks, they're all poor.
Yeah,
they're all ignorant. They don't know how to get on the internet.
No, what's
they
that
don't know.
internet you
They
speak
don't know
of?
where the DMV is, so they don't know how to get a state ID.
Yeah, no.
And you know, I mean, you couldn't have a more infantilized caricature of 40 million black Americans than you heard from those honkies. And I hope this gets broad distribution, because you don't have to be a conservative. But tell me you're a black man or woman and you agree with what they're saying. Because those are the people who have appointed themselves your spokeshumans. I mean, in the same way that a Jesse Jackson Sr. does, or another race hustler, an Al Sharpton does. But I think it's particularly obnoxious when you have some 25-year-old white broad telling you what you can and can't do as a tax-paying, grown-ass black man or woman.
312-6642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, or you could text us on that very same line.
But again, I'm not your spokesman either. I'm not anybody's spokesman.
Okay.
So everybody has to speak for themselves. We don't need these identitarian spokespeople running around appointing themselves as, and these phony sociologists commenting on what it's like to be black in America and so forth. So, and Amy Horowitz wasn't going to do it either. So he took some of the comments you just heard and brought them to East Harlem, where he did more man on the street interviews, asked some black folks in East Harlem, men and women, what they thought.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID?
That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so like, we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. Like, that's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy cameras?
I know, right? That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that. It's on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Do you have a computer?
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity, honestly. Everybody has access to the internet. Even a little kid could figure out how to work the internet.
Yes.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly, right?
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of you?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's what my thought process was.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
That's the word I hear
very
a lot.
ignorant.
Ignorant.
Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you know, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, like, but you're judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
You know who they're talking to? Each other. That's who they're talking to. You, Miss, are ancillary to the conversation in East Harlem. The awfuls on the campus of Columbia and the Starbucks in Hinsdale, they're talking to themselves. You are not invited to be part of the conversation. They have your interests, so just settle yourself. If they tell you the voter ID laws are racist, then they're racist. Now, for the black people who go along with these people who are, as all of these East Harlem residents said, ignorant. For black people who go along with this, go along with these honky leftists, well, shame on you.
Text
I will
message.
tweet out this, retweet this, Amy Horowitz. keep it in your phone. So when when voter ID laws or some other such topic comes and you get the same sort of noblesse oblige silliness from some white leftist honky, you can play this video for them. And for everybody, perhaps in front of them. A little public shaming is warranted. This cannot be seen enough. It's so simple, which is why it's so elegant. It's just so simple and straightforward. And here's the coup de grace. Because, you know, if you listen to Stacey Abrams and all of these honky members of, you know, these self-styled members of the intelligentsia, these honky leftists, and the race hustling people of all races and heritages. If you listen to them, you know, this is an issue. This is a big issue.
Right.
But
they've made it an issue for the last 3 decades.
Yeah. Stacey Abrams, nearly became Georgia governor almost entirely on this race hustle, this fraud. And then you talk to the residents of East Harlem. I'm saying it's not a representative sample and so forth, but I'm not saying it's a representative sample. But I'll tell you what, when it's presented like this, I think it is a representative sample of the attitudes.
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, "Can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Are you
Love showing my ID.
You got no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if, when you go to vote, if they say, "Can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are"? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
Phony issue. The poll tax, Jim Crow 2.0. Anything in the direction of trying to maintain some sensible oversight on and for the interest of protecting the integrity of elections and election outcomes is Jim Crow 2.0. It's a poll tax. It's racist. It's this and that's disenfranchising minorities and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, you know, they're advancing everywhere they can an effort to allow people in this country illegally to vote, at least in local elections. You see that, which really is the obvious tell about their real interest. It has nothing to do with black enfranchisement or black turnout or Latino turnout. It has everything to do with dependency and political power. I mean, this is so straightforward. And I'm sure some people are like rolling their eyes. It's so obvious. Everybody knows this, except everybody doesn't know this. That's the point. This is why Amy Horitz's work here is so salient, because everybody doesn't know it. The arguments you think people have heard, the understanding of the motivations of these haughty leftists that we have, that other people do not have. Which is why the call is always made by this show to be an opinion leader in your circles of influence where we can't necessarily reach, nor can most politicians. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, the straw man argument is always on, what they'll say is that, well, you have no proof that there's voter fraud, so therefore these laws are not needed. How would you answer that?
Well, I'd answer 2 ways. First of all, we don't have to prove voter fraud. We don't have to prove voter fraud because you have to prove that voter ID suppresses the vote. And when you hear from constituents whose votes are supposed to be suppressed with a voter ID law, saying, I got no problem. And also just the general data that we have about the percentage of people that have IDs, have access to the internet.
FX machines, copy machines.
There is no foundational argument to advance to argue against voter ID laws. There's no evidentiary basis to argue against voter ID laws. So the burden of the proof is on them. But if you want to go there, we obviously can go there too. And just as they would provide some anecdotal evidence to have somebody come forward and say my vote was suppressed or somebody tried to intimidate me at the polling place by pressing me for an ID when I didn't have it, even though I'm a registered voter. Some story that they've come up with. We've got thousands. All you have to do is go to the Heritage Foundation's website. We've got thousands of voter fraud cases. People who've been convicted of voter fraud across the country over many years. It's a rare instance. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very often, at least not when people are caught and successfully prosecuted. But it's indicative of something that's ongoing. And if one person, and to use their argument against them, if one voter's vote is nullified by someone who shouldn't have voted, how is that not voter suppression? What if because any person who commits voter fraud, they could be nullifying the vote of a black person that you say his vote is being suppressed by voter ID. So we have this prophylactic measure up front called voter ID to ensure we know who's voting. And this is where common sense has to kick in, as it does with all of those people that Amy Horowitz spoke to in East Harlem. Say, yeah, what's the big deal? Sure, makes sense.
And I love yesterday Trump signed a sweeping election integrity bill, proof of citizenship on voter registration forms, not a big ask, cutting funding to states that don't secure elections, vigorously prosecute election crimes, take action against states who count ballots received after Election Day in federal elections.
Yeah.
Because I can't stand when they count votes when the election is over. That makes zero sense. I would love to go back to the simple times where you just vote on Election Day.
Well, it's something, but obviously these states that have endemic problems with managing elections, we are one in Illinois, certainly Cook County.
Yeah.
They have to get their act together at the state and local level ultimately, but sure, anything in furtherance of common sense when it comes to the administration of elections, sure. Jordan, Ania.
Yeah, good morning. So I was telling the screener, tell me you're an elitist bigot who lives in an echo chamber without telling me you're an elitist bigot who lives in an echo chamber. I picked up in one of my routes on one of my days in a pretty affluent neighborhood, town, mostly white, successful white business and everything. George Floyd comes along, and I got people painting Black Lives Matter on their steps of their house, signs, the whole nines, right? And it's that way for 3 years, right up until a black family moved onto the street. And then the signs started disappearing. And I asked one of the people who I know and I talked to on that street, and I said, where's all the Black Lives Matter signs going? You got a black person living on the street. They says, oh, yeah, well, here's the deal. It's two reactions. One, they're afraid they're either going to see the sign and come over to their house, or two, they're going to have to be, the black people are going to be offended by the white bigots that are being their spokespeople. It's just crazy, and that's the way these people are. They virtue signal till the rubber meets the road. They've never lived a day in the real life, in the real world, to know how these people actually think. And it's tragic, but it's just the way it is, and hopefully at some point it can break. But it's going to take a lot of time to break that cycle. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, well, you have to keep making the arguments, and thanks for the call, Jordan, and providing supporting content like the Amy Horowitz piece. Ron and Carol Stream.
Hi, Dan and Amy. It really bugged me from the first time I heard this, and even Bill Barr said, well, there was no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, are we going to define that? Because that tells me there was some, and who's going to decide how much is okay? Come on, give me a break. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call. Right, yeah, they always use that modifier, widespread, because they're conceding, of course, nothing is perfect, and nothing will ever be perfect. But you can minimize the fraud and the potential for fraud with simple measures like voter ID. And by the way, it doesn't happen, it's not widespread, but then, and this is in a blue state, after voter fraud arrests, Connecticut is weighing election changes. This is a story out of Hartford 3 days ago because of a 2023 Democratic mayoral primary in Hartford that was invalidated because voter fraud.
Oh, did they not clean their voter rolls again?
So it happens in different ways, in different places. And again, the point is to say sensible measures up front. You don't preemptively mail ballots willy-nilly all over the place like we did in 2020. You don't let people who are in this country illegally vote. No. You don't give them IDs that could create confusion about voting. You require voter IDs so that election judges can know that this is the person and the records can be kept. And then you have to have secretaries of state that do what you just mentioned, make sure the voter rolls are updated for move-ins, move-outs, people who pass away, those sorts of things. Simple things that anybody can do if they're interested in advancing the integrity of elections. But what we found is the left is not.
Well, if you're against election integrity, that means you want to cheat. And I always bring in my ID, whether they want to see it or not. Here's my ID. It shows who I am, where I live.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
You never want to miss one of life's most important moments. A graduation, a birthday, a first communion, a wedding. When these moments happen, you want to make sure to capture them so that you and your loved ones can remember them for years to come. For over 30 years, families have relied on Tom Kaloran Photography to capture important life moments. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography, from weddings and birthdays to class reunions and golf outings. No matter the size or scope, Tom Kaloran Photography will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Are you a writer who's devoted your time to writing a book with Christian morals behind it but need help to get it published? Maybe you wrote a children's book, your memoirs, a devotional, or a mystery with strong moral values at its core. Covenant Books has helped faith-based authors publish, edit, and sell their books through Christian bookstores and major online book retailers. Plus, if you call now at 800-255-9500, we're offering a free writer's guide to help you through the publishing process. Our experienced and dedicated staff will review and notate your manuscript with an editor's eye. Then our page designers will format your book to create the appropriate experience for your readers. And if needed, Covenant's talented illustrators will bring your book to life. Most importantly, Covenant Books will help tell your story by printing, marketing, and distributing your book through specialty Christian bookstores and major online book retailers like Amazon, Apple, and many others. Covenant Books, let us help tell your story. For your free writer's guide, call 800-255-9500. That's 800-255-9500. 800-255-9500.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union iron worker, just like his father. But while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Governor Jelly Belly throwing rhetorical haymakers in his address to the Human Rights Campaign, the pro-LGBTQIA2S++++ special rights group. They're not pro those group people. They're pro special rights for those identified people, just to be clear on the terminology. And also, nicely,
Yes.
My 2028 ticket of Tubbs and Crockett. Crockett was also there at the Human Rights Campaign, pitching her wares. We'll discuss at 6:36.
But first, let's head back into that newsroom and say good morning once again to Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 33 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Vice President Vance will travel to Greenland on Friday. Mark Mayfield fills us in.
He made the announcement in a video posted on X.
I'm going to visit some of our guardians in the Space Force on the northwest coast of Greenland and also just check out what's going on with the security there of Greenland.
The White House had previously announced that Vance's wife, Usha, would lead a delegation there. That prompted backlash from Greenland and Denmark. The vice president said, "I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, so I'm going to join her." President Trump says he wants the U.S. to take control of Greenland.
2 teenage boys are in custody after they're accused of carjacking a man at gunpoint on the south side. The crime happened on Sunday in the 7900 block of South Shore Drive. The suspects were arrested yesterday. A 15-year-old's been charged with aggravated vehicular hijacking with a firearm and unlawful possession of a stolen vehicle. The 14-year-old was charged with aggravated vehicular hijacking with a firearm. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over if you have medical PPO insurance. Find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher knows what normal Americans are thinking.
Do Democrats feel comfortable defending horrific, thug, animalistic gang members like Trendy Aragua? And the truth of the matter is, normal Americans aren't on the side of the Democrats on this. And I wonder if Democrats are sitting around saying, what are we doing?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
New treatments for joint pain are here. By now, you've heard about regenerative medicine. If you're wondering if you're a good candidate, answer these questions. First, does chronic pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or other joints keep you from doing the things you enjoy? Golfing, jogging, time with the family. Does it hurt doing the things you need to do, like getting out of bed, sleeping, working, and walking? And finally, do you want to avoid surgery and all of the pain, long recovery, and uncertainty that comes with it? If you answered yes to any of those, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Learn about exciting advancements in regenerative treatments that can give you long-lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Get your free consultation today. Call QC Kinetics. That's QC Kinetics. Here's the phone number.
Call now, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955.
If you're getting divorced, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Marcy, 38, homemaker, no income, with 3 kids under 10, recently filed for divorce. Marcy's soon-to-be ex needed the equity out of their marital home to purchase a new home, so Marcy called Team Hochberg after being told by other lenders she couldn't refinance until the divorce was final. Wrong. I helped Marcy refinance with her parents co-signing because she didn't have a job and wasn't receiving child or spousal support. Let's review. Marcy needed to refinance her soon-to-be ex off the mortgage and give him half the home's equity to buy a home and was told it couldn't be done. And I helped Marcy refinance. If you're getting divorced and want mortgage advice from a lender who can empathize with your situation, give us a call now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, and MLS 112-4061.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. The Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose still looks good, 14 minutes. heading inbound at 13 minutes outbound. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne interchange, 11 minutes slow from Edens Junction to Kimball. On the outbound side, about 16 minutes it's slow between Ohio and Costner. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 13 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. SpringFest savings always start now at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances, plus save an additional $100 on every $1,000 you spend on select major appliances, valid through 4/2. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds around the area today. High 52. Cloudy with a shower in spots late tonight, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning. Breezy, high 54. Increasingly windy on Friday. Shower and thunderstorm, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, everybody who's anybody who wants to be somebody was in L.A. for the Human Rights Campaign dinner. This is a group that promotes special privileges for people who identify as LGBTQIA2S plus 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 plus.
Very good, Dan. You got them all. Congratulations.
Plus. Yeah.
Minus
and,
one plus. Yes.
Jelly Belly was there.
No, he was?
Yeah. Making the rounds, pun intended. Making things round. And as I said, this was fun to see them together. This was sort of, I think, a little bit of a coming out party because you had Tubbs with Crockett. Jasmine Crockett was there as well. Now, they didn't have the linen suits and no socks thing going on, but, you know, we're still working with the branding of the ticket. Anyway, Jelly Belly was throwing some rhetorical haymakers.
Yeah, like he does.
And he wants people of his persuasion to do the same. And that may not be limited to rhetorical.
For 10 years, ever since Donald Trump descended that ridiculous gold escalator,
you've got gold toilets
to announce his entrance into the political world, I hoped that the Republican Party would seek out and find its better angels. Hope is a delicate and wonderful thing, a seed that we should never stop planting. But I won't let hope be a blindfold. And I won't continue to advocate that we wage a conventional political fight when what we really need is to become street fighters. And right now, it's drag queens reading books and transgender people serving in the military. But tomorrow, it's your marriage license and your job they want to take.
Is he out of his mind?
Bending to the whims of a bully will not end his cruelty. It will only embolden him. The response to authoritarianism isn't acquiescence. Bullies respond to one thing, and one thing only: a punch in the face.
What?
Bellicose rhetoric from our pacifist governor, don't you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Jelly Belly's coming, and his fists of fury are coming with him.
He's coming to knock you out. He's such a street guy.
Jelly Belly going to knock you out.
Mama
Jelly Belly says knock you out.
Hey, Mama gonna knock you out. Hey, whatever happened to when they go low, we go high from Michelle Obama? Whatever happened to that?
Yeah. I think Eric Holder already recast that as when they go low, we kick them, which is what Eric Holder said. For all of their feigning the role of the peacemaker, you always get the hysterical rhetoric from the left, and it usually trends towards something that is, either connoting violence or advocating straight away for violence, as we have in many cases. I mean, you have their activist set, a lot of it which is funded by leftist organizations that are openly, notoriously calling for violence. For example, that vandalizing Teslas or Tesla dealers is part of being a member of the resistance. That's what's going on right now. I mean, we had the same sort of rationalization of violence during the siege on America in the summer of 2020 in response to George Floyd.
Yeah.
I mean, so this, again, the violence of the left, these Marxist revolutionaries, is nothing new. It just takes different forms. The rhetoric is not new either, and it'll be peppered over time when somebody acts in a way that is horrific and was politically motivated to do so. But, okay, we need to tone down the rhetoric. We need a return to civility, and then, an appropriate amount of time will pass, and then Jelly Belly will be back on the stump, and politicians like him talking about punching people in the face. And he's not the only one. Of course, his 2028 running mate, if I have my way, she's been doing it all week.
She's out of her mind.
This was Jasmine given a local network affiliate interview in Dallas. She represents a district in Dallas about Ted Cruz. Colin Allred, the guy who ran against him for Senate last go around. I mean, he was okay, but
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay
punching?
with you okay with punching. I think and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But it's Ted Cruz. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head hard, right? There is no niceties with him. At all. You go clean off on him, right?
Yeah.
Now she's even telling you how to punch and where to hit high, hit hard.
Well, again, this is in the context of a campaign, and she's talking about, going on the attack rhetorically and in commercials and so forth. I give you the benefit of the doubt. My point is to say here, it's tough talk from people who are not tough. The soft-handed, limp, penised J.B. Pritzker.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Just
something he hasn't seen in about 35 years, I'd suggest.
Okay. All right.
I'm talking about his own. I'm not talking about anybody else's. He's probably seen others.
Okay. All right. All
I didn't mean to go off on
that.
that tangent, but it just came to mind.
Hope is a seed when we should never. Hope is a seed that we should never stop planting. And then from that he goes into now let's punch him in the face.
Yeah, well,
it's psychotic.
But it's also more to the point. It's don't get over the top about bellicose rhetoric from politicians trying to sound tough, and don't fall for politicians pretending to occupy some moral high ground when they come in after the fact and start talking about civility in our politics and so forth. The whole lot of it is ersatz. It is counterfeit. It is to be ignored, other than to acknowledge that the purveyor of it is disingenuous and not to be trusted.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line.
Now, his running mate there, I'm talking about Governor Spalding's running mate there, or Tubbs. I mean, I guess I need to start rebranding him for this ticket. Governor Tubbs, his running mate, fake eyelashes, Spice, Jasmine Crockett. She had a lot to say at the Human Rights Campaign dinner in L.A. An interesting choice, by the way, for the Human Rights Campaign to bring Jasmine Crockett. What I keep saying, and Pritzker actually fits this bill too, just in a different way. This is what they understand for their own purposes when it comes to profile, campaign fundraising, perhaps personal enrichment, and maybe even political advancement, although I think it stops in a general election. But for the purposes of primaries and profile, whoever is the most outlandish, reckless. And I mean, you have to be over the top, outlandish, and reckless, given the standard that they've set over the last several cycles. But whoever fits that bill gets rewarded politically. And Jasmine Crockett is featured at the Human Rights Campaign dinner in L.A., to my point. She got a bit emotional.
Oh, she started crying?
Recounting a dark day not so long ago in November of 2024.
Day that the person that should have been president had to deliver her concession speech. I honestly didn't know how I was going to get out of bed. When I tell y'all, I'm getting emotional,
Don't go.
that I traveled this country.
Oh, boy.
Because I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be this fucking bad shit, but I knew. And I knew that the obstacles were going to be even greater because not only was it a woman, but it was a woman of color.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
But man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the race hustle. We'll see. I think it is losing currency with each passing day, but it still has some. There's no question.
What?
No,
Can I
no
ask you a
question.
question real quick? You notice how everybody started swearing? Not everybody, meaning the Democrats. And then when the swearing wasn't tough enough, now they're threatening violence. Now they're both saying the word punch. We're going to punch them.
Yeah.
So somebody sent out an email saying, you can swear. And then somebody must have sent out an email to every Democrat saying you say the word punch.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
convinced.
not
You
nothing
might not
new.
be, but I'm
It's nothing new. These are the same people that, retreat to their fainting couches when somebody puts a bullseye on a geographic part of a state as like this is a target district. Oh my God, you're advocating violence. Crosshairs on a district. Oh heavens!
Saw that. He never saw it.
It's all silly. Don't trust anybody who gets all worked up about some of this rather banal political rhetoric. Actually, from small-minded people. Speaking of which, Jasmine Crockett wasn't done. The comment that she made that is drawing more attention is this one about her home state governor.
And because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes.
Ooh, the Human Rights Campaign attendees love that. Ooh-wee.
Human rights. Let's make
you
somebody...
go, girl. What the hell is wrong with people?
Mocking Governor Abbott for being paralyzed. I mean, and then she made it worse.
No.
No, she made it worse by she came out. She claims that Hot Wheels was about him shipping illegals out of Texas.
That's exactly right.
Like, what?
Yeah. Right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh, okay.
She tweeted out or X'd out, I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, deliberately stoking tension and fear among the most vulnerable. That's what she meant by Hot Wheels. Well, it's funny she says that because... there's a lot of internet sleuths out there. 2021, she liked a post online referring to Greg Abbott as Hot Wheels before any busing occurred. So, number one, it's not original. And number two, she's lying. But other than that, she's a wonderful person. By the way, one other thing. I mean, just to remember, when she's doing this thing like she's Aunt Esther, she is a complete phony.
I know, because she went to private schools with $35,000 a year, $40,000 a year.
Yeah, she got
highly
country
educated.
day school in St. Louis. But it's not even that. It's that she had a different demeanor and a different way of communicating not so long ago, like when she was a member of the state legislature in Texas.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that.
That's old Jasmine. New Jasmine on the Signal controversy.
And then y'all want to come at us and act like people of color are the problem or that women are the problem? Like, baby, you probably need a good black woman in the room who can check you and tell you that, first of all, you shouldn't be doing this on Signal or anything else.
Baby on Elon Musk.
All I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down.
Baby on Governor Hot Wheels.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey.
Oh, my gosh.
Honey.
It's an embarrassment.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Come on now.
And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So,
No, she didn't.
Yes.
No, you didn't.
I mean, it not only is it an act, it's such a stale act. It is so
she's
stale.
Embarrassing herself every time she opens up her mouth. She's absolutely classless. But she thinks she's effective, and people are eating her up, though.
Again, not every member of Congress and not every Democrat was invited to L.A. for the big human rights campaign fundraiser. Deborah in Arlington Heights.
Yeah, what school did you say she went to? Because I think she went to the Tiffany Henyard finishing school. And her comments about, like, Hot Wheels, we know what that meant.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Deborah.
Tiffany Henyard has a new rap song out, by the way.
Does she?
Maybe we'll play it during open mic. Oh, you want to hear it? Yeah, because she's got to reinvent herself, if you know what I mean, because she's not going to be in politics much longer.
No,
here you go.
says
It's called I Feed the People.
I'm starving the board. I'm feeding the people. They put me in office and treat me like it's illegal to feed the people. To feed the people. I gave back to communities and I cleaned the streets up. I'm starving the board. I'm feeding the people. They put me in office and treat me like it's illegal to feed the people. To feed my people. To feed my people. To feed my people. From Vegas to Chicago, I rode around in Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, from Vegas to Chicago, I rode around in Tahoe. That was part of the problem.
Right, exactly. And she flew first class out to Vegas and back.
Well, she is, she's sort of Christ-like, and she feeds her people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is comparing herself to Trump lately, though, in these meetings, by the way. Being wrongly accused. Or she reminds me of Rod Blagojevich a little bit, too. Like she's Jesus being crucified.
I think Henyard probably was too small potatoes, Dalton, for her. She needs to be on the statewide ticket. It's more representative of where the party is.
Yeah.
I mean, the party is the party of Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Tiffany Henyard. That's who their party is. Bob and Oswego.
Hey guys, God, what a turd! Could you imagine J.B. Pritzker trying to punch somebody in the face? He's so fat. It would be like a T-Rex with those little short arms sticking around that big fat belly.
Yeah.
And
well,
also,
he couldn't even reach Trump's face. I mean,
the thing is, I think it's a physical impossibility because if he tried to do like a hip shoulder turn to turn into it, I think as happened before, his legs give out. I think he would break his legs. Yeah.
The only person he ever punched in the face was when he had his nanny beat up the little girl that was picking on him.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he would outsource the fighting. We need when he says we need a street fighter, we need to hire street fighters. And that's what they do.
And
that's literally what they do.
Yeah, and he'll pay for it and fund it. Yes.
Yeah. Will and Skokie.
Good morning. I think when Pritzker runs for president on the GLP-1 ticket, with his vice president being Lizzo, it's going to be the same way that it happened with Jesse Jackson, where, he ran for president. He did okay the first couple of primaries, but then they get to Illinois where actual people know what the hell he is, and he falls on his face. It would be great.
Thanks for the call, literally and figuratively. I was just listening to Will's, driving instruction there.
Yeah.
What if Elon Musk put Jasmine Crockett's voice as your navigational voice in Teslas?
Oh boy!
As sort of an honor. Wouldn't that be fun? Even just to maybe you could program it just for a week or something, just to have fun, and then you.
What would she say? Like, don't drive down that crowded bleep street.
No, I'd be like, honey, you gotta turn left there, baby. I don't know. Just a thought. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook. or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago contains 23 natural ingredients that work synergistically to boost your immune system. Virago's natural ingredients also protect your heart, your brain, and your liver through its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Virago also promotes healthy gum health. So go to myvirago.com, that's myvirago.com, and use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
All across the country, states are embracing school choice and offering vouchers to families to send students to whichever school they want, including private Christian schools. Illinois, however, has resisted this trend, despite all the benefits of private education. Well, we have a solution. ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. It's simple. Just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com and tell us which private school you want to send your child to. Then we contact the school on your behalf and work to secure a voucher for half off the first year of tuition, typically saving thousands of dollars for families. The program only applies to new students who are not currently enrolled in the school. So if you've been considering sending your child to a private school and thought it was financially out of reach, go to ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com to learn more and to start the process today. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning. Oh, sorry.
I think you and Tiffany Henyard should collaborate on a rap.
Really?
You could be like the new Salt and Pepper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I have it in me. Maybe I'll reach out to her.
Yeah, from your days with Hobie and the Banshees.
Hubie and the Janitors.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm going to tweet out that video, by the way. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I would like to see the video. At 7:07, who rides public transit anymore?
It's now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Democrats keep demanding more answers. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. About a security breach in a Trump administration group chat about military action in Yemen that mistakenly allowed a journalist in. It'll be a big issue at a House Intel hearing into worldwide threats the day after one in the Senate, where Democrat Mark Warner questioned Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard.
There was no classified material that was shared in that
So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe will face more questions in the House about the chat they were on with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who still has President Trump's support, while taking responsibility for inadvertently inviting Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg into the chat. And Waltz tells Fox,
"You've got somebody else's number
on someone else's contact. So, of course, I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
President Trump has signed an executive order likely to face legal challenges from some states.
Requiring proof of citizenship in federal elections. It requires government-issued proof of U.S. citizenship on voter registration forms. It also calls on states to work with federal agencies to share voter lists and to prosecute election crimes. Plus, it threatens to pull federal funding from states where election officials don't comply.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. Another Trump executive order directs the FBI to release the files from what he's long called a witch hunt. The investigation that began in 2016 and led to a special counsel investigation into alleged Trump campaign collusion with Russia.
This was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified.
People have fled flames in North Carolina. Wildfires have prompted evacuations in Polk and Henderson counties and other blaze burns in South Carolina. But it is much worse in South Korea, where a wildfire disaster has killed 24 people. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 31 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. U.S. intel chiefs are preparing for another day of grilling on Capitol Hill after a journalist claimed he was included on a chat that discussed plans to strike Houthi targets. Yesterday, they were set to testify before a Senate Committee on Global Threats, but the group text mistake involving the Atlantic took center stage. Democrats pushed Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, FBI Director Kash Patel, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe about the bombshell report. These three are set to appear before a similar House committee today. President Trump says National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, the person who reportedly made the chat error, has, quote, learned a lesson. Fires continue to burn in parts of western North Carolina. The fires, known as the Black Cove Complex Fire, have burned more than 6,000 acres in Polk County, and now parts of neighboring Henderson County are being told to evacuate. Governor Pritzker slamming the president's executive order to overhaul elections. The order requires documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Pritzker released a statement saying voting is a fundamental right for Americans, accusing Trump of ignoring the rule of law and circumventing Congress. The governor proclaims that in the face of these attacks on voting rights, Illinois will continue to administer free and fair elections while standing up for strong, secure, and accessible democracy. News is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4 relief.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets, any size and any color. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the mega sale 2.0, go to mypillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201. But that's not all. You'll get free shipping on orders over $75. Once again, call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY, or visit mypillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. You got a stall on the right shoulder. This is going to be at Tower Road. On the outbound side, it's about a 14-minute roll. On the inbound side of the Kennedy from Montrose to Burn Interchange, 22 minutes. It's going to be slow between Edens Junction out to Damon Avenue. Outbound side, it's going to be about 32 minutes. You got a crash on the right shoulder at Augusta, and due to that crash, it's slow between Augusta and Costner Avenue. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you can save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds today, high 52. Cloudy tonight, a shower late, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning, breezy, high 54. It'll be a windy day Friday, clouds in the morning, shower and thunderstorm, and a high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get to this matter of public transit, Jelly Belly, one other thing that he said at the swanky LA Human Rights Campaign fundraising dinner that I thought people might want to hear is how he was weaned on the LGBTQIA2S+++ agenda. But for that agenda, who knows where he'd be now?
My mother was an activist for reproductive rights and LGBTQ rights. Right. And she took me to pride parades back when, well, they weren't really parades, they were protests. So I have to laugh when I hear the right wing carry on about the dangers of exposing kids to trans people or same-sex couples, because I'm living proof that introducing your kids to the gay agenda might result in them growing up to be governor.
He's the original butt baby. Butt baby zero, we'll call him now. Uh-huh. It's wonderful.
I like Tubbs and Crockett better.
Yeah, and I appreciate, by the way, we collectively appreciate here the memes that this is already spawning. I've seen several Tubbs and Crockett memes for the 2028 ticket, so keep the creativity flowing. It's interesting the choice that Jelly Belly is making. Tiny Dancer, you remember him. He used to be the mayor of Chicago, White House chief of staff, member of Congress. Probably don't even remember that because the whole thing is so unremarkable. But despite the fact that he's had a completely unremarkable career in public office, of course, he's a presidential aspirant in 2028, according to some. The public has seen us as more focused around a set of cultural interests and issues, climate, woke, DEI, abortion, than the American people. all those I care about, but they consume both our intellectual and thematic energy. The American people said you care more about that than anything else. I love the fact that Tiny Dancer is being seen as some sort of truth teller, as some sort of like a great, having great insight into politics. Boy, he's a real political operative. This is so basic. This is so basic. The evidence is so overwhelming that a grade schooler could pick up on the message that the American people are sending on these particular issues. There is no great insight here. The more interesting conversation to have is not pretending like Tiny Dancer represents a walk away from the base of that party, because he doesn't. He's a hack. He is amoral and soulless politically. So all those, let's go back to that day when if you're thinking about Tiny Dancer running for mayor again or running for Senate, if he doesn't run for president.
He'll run for either three of those.
Just dispense with your self-delusion about Tiny Dancer for those people that are so hopeless and have sort of eliminated any standards such that they would entertain the possibility of Tiny Dancer as some sort of market improvement or some sort of appropriate response to the depths to which Illinois and Chicago have sunk. Grow up. So annoying, if you can't hear it in my voice. The more interesting conversation is the approach that Jelly Belly is taking, who has naked ambition, and I'm sorry to use the term naked in the sentence with J.B. Pritzker, but his ambition for the White House in 28 is naked and obvious. And the tack that he is taking on the trail, like you heard from his remarks at the Human Rights Campaign dinner. That's what's interesting. That's what should get you thinking about the modern new Marxist party, as I call it, for anybody who recoils at that characterization of the Democrats as being a new Marxist party. That's what they are. They're a neo-Marxist party. Doesn't mean everyone who identifies is, but that's what it is, and that's why it's cratering. Axios, again, just to put a fine point on where it's at. These are outlets like Politico and Axios and Vox that are reporting this not because they want to facilitate the death spiral, but because they're trying to pull out of it by saying we need to come up with a new veneer to pretend we're some people other than who we are. And that's what this is. This is not a move. This is the appearance of a move. And in Chicago and Illinois, you'd think you'd recognize it by now. The change on the outside to protect continuity on the inside, to borrow from Boss. It's amazing that Hollywood can pick up on the political culture in the city of Chicago, and it radiates to the state of Illinois. And longtime residents of Chicago and Illinois are oblivious to it. Change on the outside to protect continuity on the inside. That's what they're trying to figure out how to do at the national level. They're not walking away from men and girls sports. They're not walking away from abortion on demand, taxpayer funded. We'll have a conversation if the baby is born alive.
Yeah, right.
They're not walking away from drag queen story hour and mutilating kids and confiscatory taxes and expansive government and middle-class entitlements and open borders and Safety Act, open the jails, decriminalize criminal activity. They're not walking away from any of that. There may be individuals doing it, Dugan in Detroit, for example. Maybe individuals doing it, but as a party, they are not. Can't do it. And here's what they're up against. This is from Axios. The Democrats tells us their party is in the deepest hole in nearly 50 years, and they feel things could get worse. Lowest favorability ever. Dwindling influence over the media ecosystem because of right-leaning podcasters and social media accounts that are ascendant. Young voters growing dramatically more conservative. Bad 2026 map for Senate races. Senate retirements making it harder for Democrats, like in New Hampshire. This is an important factoid, thinking about keeping the House so that Trump actually has 4 years and not just 2, effectively. There are only 3 House Republicans in districts that Kamala Harris won in 2024. Only 3. It's a dim sign for a Democrat surge. That's not me saying it, it's Axios saying it. For example, there were 23 8 years ago in seats that Hillary Clinton won, thinking about the midterms for Trump 1.0. And, of course, as we've talked about, thanks to the number of people fleeing blue states, despite what people like J.B. Pritzker tell you, the math for Dem to win the presidency will just get harder in 2030. In point of this is really interesting. In point of fact, and this is Ezra Klein pointing it out, conceding what is just demographic reality. You see the population trend lines. J.B. Pritzker wants to ignore them because he's got a short horizon for his political interests and try to gaslight people into believing that what's happening is not happening. But it is on such a crash course, the flight from blue states to red states, and the demographic impacts in terms of reapportionment in 2030. In the Electoral College, after 2030, Dems could win all the states Harris carried in 2024, plus Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and still lose the White House. That's how many seats are going to be shed by blue states or even purple states like Wisconsin versus the red states that are going to enjoy significant pickups like Texas and Florida. So this is what they're up against. And as we've been arguing and sort of debating back and forth for weeks now, there's a real schism within the ranks as to how to approach this. Lean in and continue the demonization approach of a jelly belly, or change on the outside to protect continuity in the inside of a tiny dancer. Tom in Blue Island.
Good morning, Dan. And you played a little clip of the now infamous Ralph Northam. We'll have a discussion after the baby's laying on the table. How do you don't go away from that and end up being pro-life. So to your point, these people have to lie about who they are every day and in the hopes of fooling the electorate again. And I think it relates to the Jeffrey Goldberg thing as the screw up looks like it was by the Trump administration. But when you see it's someone like Jeffrey Goldberg, I automatically assume the guy's lying. The only way the left can change that is change who they are, but a leftist can't change who he or she is.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Just getting to, it's bad, but we're not at the basement. Going down, yes, we are in places like Chicago. Because these systems that are in cardiac arrest, nobody's noticed, not paying attention. You got to paper over it, just like you paper over all of the self-imposed ills in Chicago and Illinois, financial, moral, and otherwise. This report on CTA. Chicago Transit Authority spent more than $26,000 in 2023 and 24 on 3 vehicles used by top officials at the public transit agency. The vehicles were used more for commuting to and from work than for business purposes. I run the CTA, but I'm the hell if I'm taking the CTA.
Wait, if they're in charge of the CTA, why would they give them cars so that they don't go on public transportation?
Because because Dorval Carter was, hey, look, I'm not interested in going to, I don't know if you've heard, Dorval Carter, the CTA is not safe. I'm not riding the CTA. That's for, the hoi polloi. He reported about 4 times as many miles commuting as he did for business purposes. Dorval Carter, the former CTA president. And he made $391,000.
Oh, my God. Plus the car. Okay.
Right. And now that the COVID funny money has dried up, I mean, these regional transit agencies, not just in Chicago, but certainly including Chicago, I mean, they have gaping budget holes. I mean, legitimate numbers when you start to include unfunded pension liabilities in the billions on an annualized basis. But let's not talk about it. We won't talk about it until we have to talk about it. This is great. Dorval Carter, the former CTA president, swiped into the CTA system 24 times between 2022 and 2020, or in 2022 and 2023, 24 times. He used his work card on 12 days in all of 21 and 2022. Right. Nora Learson, chief of staff for the CTA president, did not swipe her work card in 2021 and then used it for 5 days in November, December of 2022. $770 million budget deficit at CTA. And as I said, that's the phony accounting that government agencies do. The real number, when you include things like unfunded health and pension benefits, is in the billions annually. And CTA may be the first, even before the Chicago fire police pension funds, which aren't far behind, to really see a system failure as a result of the financial mismanagement, which of course is long running in CTA. But I mean, just that's another scam that's been run forever, going back to Tiny Dancer since he was invoked. Remember, he does like this. He gets some network affiliate to do one of these hagiographic pieces where he's riding the CTA from Ravenswood to City Hall because he's the regular Joe that likes to get a pulse of the people. All nonsense. I mean, that is Soviet-style propaganda that the public has been fed for generations, and I guess it's taken hold. But just a reminder, it doesn't matter, black, white, the inside guys versus the outside guys. The inside guys versus the outside guys. And the inside guys, it's interestingly, they all end up behaving more or less the same, don't they? It's the John Cass piece from over the weekend that we talked about a bit yesterday. The invoking the corruption in Chicago, and I mentioned Larry Bloom, the reformer from Hyde Park who ended up going to jail like so many of the rest of the alderhumans and other public officials in Chicagoland and Cook County and Illinois. I mean, it's just I just wonder aloud again, when all the people outside the system, outside the benefit circle, which vastly outnumber the people inside the benefit circle, when will it take hold to do something markedly different, to not fall for the change on the outside to protect continuity on the inside one more time? I wonder. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee, with easy access to all forms of transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com.
Hey folks, I just can't help thinking of our stress levels. And high blood pressure is the #1 key risk factor for mortality. In fact, 1 in 2 Americans walking around have high blood pressure. That's a ticking time bomb. But thankfully, it's never been easier to take control of your blood pressure. With 120 Life, a truly remarkable natural juice blend that can actually help you lower your blood pressure without the side effects of taking pills every day. 120 Life is formulated with scientifically backed ingredients from superfruits, berries, and minerals that have been shown to naturally help control high blood pressure. And it works. It's endorsed by 600 health professionals. And I assure you, that's not fake news. I use it myself. I love it. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial. Just go to 120 Life and use the coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% and receive free shipping. If 120 Life doesn't help lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they give you your money back. It's guaranteed. Go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Go to 120life.com today.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you've listened to Money Hour Radio over the past decade, you know us. I'm Matt Nadeau.
And I'm Ben Barzita. For years, we've helped you navigate the markets, protect your wealth, and plan for the future. Now we're excited to introduce our next chapter, Barzita and Nadeau Wealth Management.
As an independent firm, we have the freedom to focus on you, not a corporation. Our gold medal service approach goes beyond investment management. We provide proactive financial planning, personalized tax strategies, and multi-generational wealth management, all tailored to retirees, business owners, and high net worth families.
No one-size-fits-all portfolios, no cookie-cutter advice, just customized strategies designed to help you protect, grow, and optimize your wealth.
If you've trusted us for insights on the radio, now let's work together to build your financial future. Visit bnwealth.com or call us at 847-780-2980.
Barzita and Nadeau Wealth Management, where independence means putting you first.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And this was fun. It was reminiscent of just talking about the political leadership in Illinois. This was reminiscent of something I recalled from the Illinois General Assembly. Mm-hmm. Amy Pascal is a new Marxist member of the Colorado State Legislature. And there was a debate on the floor about banning the manufacturing, distributing, transferring, selling of semi-automatic firearms with detachable magazines, you know, the usual sort of gun control silliness that you get from Dems because they have no new ideas and no ideas that are really relevant to quality of life issues like public safety. These measures like this completely irrelevant. So you won't be surprised, despite the fact that they're saving lives and they have all these hyperbolic stories about the lives that will be saved if they remove some guns from the hands of law-abiding, because of course they're not going to be removing them from the hands of criminals. So, Amy, you can understand why Amy Pascal and others have a hard time paying attention. They've heard the rap before, like we all have. But they caught her on her iPad.
Uh-oh. Doing?
In the middle of a floor debate on this gun control bill.
Uh-oh.
Coloring.
Oh, I thought she was Jeffrey Tubeing herself or something.
No. Well, that would have been, wow.
Ooh, yeah.
That might have been noticed.
Didn't see coloring. Maybe playing Candy Crush, I thought, or some game, but coloring?
Yeah, she was coloring at her desk. They've got a picture over her right shoulder of her, and I don't think it's. I think it's literally just like a digital coloring book. But I suppose this also illustrates the intellectual development of many members of state legislatures, many members of Congress as well. This is what they enjoy doing in their pastimes. This is the level of their gray matter. But it reminded me of something. Do you remember there's something similar happened in Illinois?
Refresh my memory.
This is a decade ago. So,
Okay.
To understand. And I mean, it's not the most egregious thing by any stretch that ever happened in Illinois, but it's still fun. This was Kate Clunan. She was a new Marxist member of the House Marxist Caucus, Neo-Marxist Caucus from the Rockford area. From the Kankakee area. And same sort of thing. She had the good sense to put her iPad under her desk while she was playing video games. But it's still somebody in the gallery over her right shoulder saw the screen and saw her playing games during floor debate. And she was playing Candy Crush. You mentioned Candy Crush. That's exactly what she was playing. Yeah, it was all the rage back then. Mm-hmm. And there was a little bit of a dust up over that because she was, not paying attention to working on a budget impasse at the time. Like she was ever engaged. Well, in the first place, please. Like she's relevant. I mean, the idea that that Kate Clunan or these like rank and file legislators in either party that are just basically seat warmers have. I'm working diligently on the budget impasse. You're waiting to be told what to vote for. Right. And we might as well enjoy yourself and play a little Candy Crush in the interim. Right. And it's sort of the same thing as that chick in Colorado who's coloring while waiting to see if she's got to press the red or green button. That's really how the state legislatures, certainly in Illinois, which I know very well, works, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar in other states.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, how much foreign direct investment has Trump brought since his installment on January 20th? We'll talk matters economic. We'll also get Steve Moore's reaction to what our friend Jim Urio had to say yesterday, which is that he sees a R word coming in 2025. Steve Moore, economist, at 7:37.
But first, let's jump into the newsroom once again. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 31 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is taking responsibility for the recent information leak. This week, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, reported he was added to a group text with multiple high-ranking officials discussing plans for U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. The president says he will look into the use of encrypted messaging app Signal after the incident. A group of Chicago aldermen are demanding Mayor Johnson work with them on how to cover a $175 million Chicago public schools pension payment. 15 city council members sent a letter to the mayor yesterday urging his administration to work with them on funding cuts to address the budget shortfall. The group says they're prepared to act legislatively to ensure that their requests are met. The gap must be closed by the end of the week. News is a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience and drive action. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it, I dare you. Do it.
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Filet mignon isn't as cheap as chopped steak, and you can't buy a yacht for the same price as a dinghy. But while they last, you can buy high-end Beauty Rest Black and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models. These are the best of the best, and now you can get them for way less. Like a Beauty Rest Black LX Hybrid was $3,599, but now it's just $971. Or a Sealy Posturepedic Golden Acres Pillow Top was $1,093, but the floor model is just $546. Visit any employee-free, hassle-less showroom and test your favorite floor model without salespeople breathing down your neck. You won't find these mattresses priced this low anywhere else. It's like buying a Lamborghini for $10,000 just because it sat on the showroom floor. Only a few floor models are available at each Hasselless mattress location, and when they're gone for good. Find your employee-free Chicagoland showroom at hasselless.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Inbound on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 15 minutes, about 14 minutes the opposite direction. Inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to Byrne, it's about 23 minutes. Outbound, it's about 33 minutes. On the Eisenhower, going from Wolf to the old post office, 25 minutes. Outbound, it's about 24 minutes. Traffic's a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds around the area today. High 52. Cloudy with a shower in spots late tonight, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning. Breezy, high 54. Increasingly windy on Friday. Shower and thunderstorm, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, since we were talking about 2028 presidential aspirants a bit, and how many of them are from Illinois. At least two, maybe. We don't know about two or 1.5. And that's not even a size comment on Tiny Dancer. It's just we don't know if he's really interested in president or not. Just
I think he is.
Just being reported that way. And, of course, he enjoys the reporting because it puts him in that category, even though he's a completely unremarkable, basically middle management bureaucrat, and that's all he's ever been in public office. And, frankly, as chief of staff for Obama. It's a joke. But it just shows you how low the standards are in Chicago and Illinois. Maybe someday we'll gain a little bit more self-respect, but that day is not today. One other person that was much rumored about.
Oh, who?
And people who, they believe what people who know nothing about the Obamas and nothing about Illinois say just because it's, fun conspiracy fodder. And I've been saying since I've been on the air, so that would be, and since I've been on the air and since they've been out of office, so that would be, let's see, Trump was elected in 2016, so that would be a decade.
Right.
Michelle Obama is never going to run for president. And how many people couldn't get it through their gray matter? She's not running. Yeah, all kinds of elaborate theories, even as late as last summer when Biden got sidelined.
Right. That she was going to be the savior, come in and, and people, I'll never forget Jesse Waters, the guy that does his Man on the Streets. He interviewed black residents in Harlem. They were all for her, believe it or not. They didn't want Biden. They didn't want Harris, but a majority of them, like Michelle Obama, oh yeah, I could vote for her. But this thing about her running for office.
That's phony too. Because they don't know. I mean, a man on the street, would you like Michelle Obama instead of Joe Biden? Yeah, of course. I mean,
well, then they asked the question to Harris or Michelle. But I'm just saying she's been the darling of the Democratic Party for decades. And I remember Mike Scott one time saying, oh, she's going to move to California and she's going to be the next senator, a U.S. senator. And I'm like, no, she's not. You don't know her. She can't stand D.C., although she still lives in D.C. Well, one of her many houses are in D.C.
It's more than D.C. It's more than D.C. I mean, okay. I know you got up close and personal with her in the locker room at East Bank Club, but it's more than D.C. She does not like politics. She likes royalty.
Yeah.
She likes being entitled to things. She likes, her life of status and riches and of the freedom and the trappings associated with that. She does not like politics. She doesn't have the temperament for it. And frankly, unlike many people, she knows she doesn't have the temperament for it.
Yep.
If you think like the first time I'm proud of my country, if you think that was just sort of a one-off or a slip-up, no, that is her well-considered. That is her well-considered belief, and there's a lot more anger underneath that, and it hasn't gone away, even though all of these bounties have been piled upon her and Barack. So interesting. And but you have to have a cover story for it. It's not going to be, a naked disclosure like I just offered. This is why I really have no interest in running for president or any other office. So instead, she was on this podcast trying to promote her flailing podcast with Kylie Kelsey. Mm-hmm. I guess that's the wife of Jason Kelsey.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, all the Kelseys. I mean, Mama Kelsey's got to have a podcast too, right? I mean, if all of her sons and daughter-in-laws have one.
Jason and Travis Kelsey are trending towards the Kardashians in my tolerance. Anyway, this was Michelle Obama on the prospect of running for president with Kylie Kelsey on her podcast.
Used to, and it worked out, but one time Sasha got T-boned. Literally, her car totaled. Some lady T-boned her, and you get this call that Sasha was in an accident, the car was totaled, and then I thought, ooh, I hope the lady that hit her is okay. Could you imagine, right?
Yes.
Like, you T-bone like Sasha Obama.
Yes.
And then their agents. So I'm also like thinking about them in the world, right?
Right.
So, the day-to-day kind of challenges that any parent has with teenagers, we had it on 100.
Amplified.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I longed for the days when,
I do not envy that.
Just write on the wall, will you? We can wash that off. I was so glad when we got out of the White House. It was just like I wanted them to have the freedom of not having the eyes of the world on them. I mean, they still are dealing with paparazzi and being who they are and trying to, cover up their own identity. But they got a lot of practice in those years in the White House. And so when people ask me, would I ever run? The answer is no. I mean, then if you ask me that, then you have absolutely no idea the sacrifice that your kids make when your parents are in that role. Not only am I not interested in politics in that way, but the thought of like putting my girls back into that, that spotlight when they are just now establishing themselves. It's like, okay, I think we've done enough. Question asked and answered. Never going to happen, right?
Are you satisfied now? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Of course, the truth was the passing comment she made about not interested in politics in that way. It's not all this mama bear stuff trying to protect her now adult daughters, because if they wanted to do that, I mean, I guess you say, well, she didn't know Well, did she know for the second term? Of course she did. Did she know while she maintains, a high profile, doing podcasts and producing Netflix shows and still being, part of the a celebrity set in Martha's Vineyard, from coast to coast, frankly. I mean, okay. I mean, I'm sure she loves her daughters and she wants to protect her daughters and all that. I'm not talking about her daughters or that, but I mean, I'm just saying the real point of it was, and the real basis for her position with respect to electoral politics was disclosed there when she said she doesn't like politics in that way.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on that very same line. Just as a mom, when she said, the first thing I thought of was the person who T-boned my daughter. First person I'm thinking about is my kid. That was in the accident. But I'm sure once she found out that she was okay, she was like, what about the person who... I never knew that Sasha was T-boned before, so that, I mean, they kept that under wraps, I guess. But, I mean, she wouldn't put her kids back in it, even no matter what age they are. She didn't like it there. I'll never forget the time when there was a camera there and she goes, do you know how badly I want to run out that door and just go buy ice cream and just be back to myself and not have Secret Service with me and not have this bubble around me?
Yeah, right. Boo fracking who. Do you know how many books you would sell if you weren't in the White House, hadn't spent time in the White House without that Secret Service behind you where you couldn't go buy an ice cream cone by yourself? Yeah, life's full of trade-offs, Michelle. Yeah, you really got the raw end of that deal. Please.
I know. How many houses?
So sickening.
2 houses in Hawaii. One in D.C.
Even at this
Valerie
point.
Jarrett lives there.
The point is, even at this point, she has to play the victim role.
Oh, yeah.
You heard her. What we sacrificed. Come on.
Well, she sees herself as a hero and heroic efforts that they made just to better the country. That's I think how she feels. And she does feel like a victim. She feels like a victim because she was a black woman growing up on the south side of Chicago. And they never owned a home. But she had great,
terrible.
I mean, she got into Whitney Young.
All the way through Princeton.
Yeah.
Such
she got into
story.
Whitney Young and to Princeton.
Whitney Young to Princeton. Oh, my goodness. What a
How she
harrowing
suffered.
Horatio Alger tale. And it still and it persists this day as she persists in the face of all that she must overcome. People not properly appreciative of the sacrifices she's made. Come on, enough. Could you be any more of a solipsist than Michelle Obama? Lee and Hammond.
Yeah, guys. Say what you want about J.B. Pritzker. He's a politician. Michelle Obama is not. And she couldn't even bring herself to go to Jimmy Carter's funeral or the inauguration. But yet, J.B. Pritzker, I guarantee you, if Trump had asked him to be in his cabinet, he'd be on the first plane to D.C. That's a politician. Michelle Obama is not a politician.
Well, who is that a compliment to? Because politician is a pejorative, the way I hear you using it.
Well, it's a fact of life. Let's face it. These guys, I've seen politics at the local level here and there. And one day your best buddy's your worst enemy, and the next day your worst enemy is your best buddy. It all depends on what they could do for you. That's how politics works.
For the most part, although there are notable exceptions to that, which we should try to seek out rather than just conceding the lowest common denominator. You know what I mean? David in Winnetka.
Oh, I think Michelle would be a great politician. But here's the thing. Even though, like I say, she does hate everything that she claims to hate and blah, 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 what she loves is pushing the oppressed black message in the face of everybody and blah, blah, blah. Here, your husband is the president of the United States, and the black has just been so terribly oppressed. Blah, blah, blah. She loves getting that out there. And that in itself is why I thought at one point that she would run for the position.
Yeah, well, you were wrong, and we told you.
I was. I remember you schooled me. You schooled me hard on politics.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, thanks for the call, David. Appreciate it. Not to spike the football or anything, but, I mean, we just had to say it so many times it became a little bit exhausting, you know what I mean?
I'm just looking at the title. They've had 9 podcasts so far, Michelle and her brother.
Oh, yeah, don't forget about Craig.
Yeah, don't forget about Craig. And one of the episodes, in a small shared bedroom in a rented house on Euclid Avenue in Chicago, Michelle Obama and Greg Robinson built a special sibling bond. I don't want to hear about that.
Do tell.
No. Yeah. Oof.
How is she? Where's her number? Where are her numbers?
I don't know. I'm going to have to ask our producer for help on that one. That's what I'm looking for, and I'm looking at the titles of these episodes that they're having. They want to hear from you, Dan. So if you have a problem again,
relationship advice.
Exactly, and maybe we could help fix why Dan Proft is single with Michelle and Craig Robinson.
I think they need. Speaking of the Kelseys, I think they need like a Taylor Swift. Emergency appearance, like to buoy their podcast, like she has enriched Travis Kelce. I mean, Travis Kelce's a great football player, and he was making a lot of money, but it's next level with endorsements, and now thanks to Taylor Swift. That's what I need. I need some Taylor Swift fairy dust.
Oh,
so does Michelle Obama, perhaps.
Yeah.
I hope Taylor's listening. Maurice and Berwyn.
Well, good morning, guys. Well, as I told the screener that, nothing she ever says will be good enough for pretty much anyone. So, I mean, just burn the witch, right? But the point being that, well, it's true. Just be honest. Nothing she ever says is good enough for anybody on either side, to be honest.
Yeah, excuse me. If she went out and said, you know what, we need to protect the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois. We need to reduce taxes in Illinois at the federal level. I would say, she's saying the right thing. No, so it is actually what she says. It's not just that she's saying it. Nice try, though.
Okay. Well, as I also told him, this is a year where you guys have defined who is and who's not black. And as someone who's been in this game now for 50 years, the bigger thing for me is, pardon me, I take the wheel in being black. When you walk into any space in which you're the only person, it can be difficult. And yes, has she reaped some benefits from it? She has, but I'm sure it's not always been easy, and it's difficult at times when you go somewhere and you are achieving things and you're the only person in a room. It can be hard, and everything has two sides to it. But to her credit, as someone mentioned, she's not a politician. I have no idea why people keep dragging her out. It's fascinating.
I agree with that. Maurice, can I ask you a question?
Please do.
Do people call you Maurice because you speak of the pompatus of love? I've always wanted to ask you that.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, that has been referenced several times.
All right. That's not that's not original insight. Yeah, I figured. Gosh darn it.
No, it's not.
All right. Thanks for the call, Maurice. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
You can hear this today at PregerTopia.com.
So I have a proposition today. It is one of my thousands of theories of life. And here it is. I think that given two essentially decent people, it is the wife who determines more whether the marriage will be a happy one.
Hear the entire episode. It's for Pregertopia members only. Go to PregerTopia.com.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent high level of quality, an ISO certified and A2LA accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or a small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries. And with a newly expanded sorting department, there are many sorting and packaging options to meet your needs. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and Tennessee. With easy access to all forms of transportation, transportation from an automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, just 15 minutes southwest of Chicago. Want consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit riverdalePHT.com.
The Overly Dramatic Reading Club, the League of Extraordinary Couch Potatoes, the alliance of people who always forget their passwords.
Do you have a large group?
We have just the table to accommodate them.
The Benevolent Brotherhood of Bad Jokes.
Meet the Benoit table from Penny Mustard.
One table to seat them all.
The Secret Cabal of Not-So-Secret Secrets. The Order of the Mismatched Socks.
The Benoit table is customized with your choice of wood and stain.
Edge and apron.
Shape and legs.
It's perfect for groups of all sizes, including
the prestigious Society of Random Shenanigans.
And
the International Confederation of Awkward Handshakes.
And
the Society for the Sincere Appreciation of Unnecessarily Long-Winded Club Names.
Are these clubs real?
Pay your dues and find out.
The Benoit Dining Room, starting at just $61.98 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, real quick, just so you know, their podcast is ranked 14th on Spotify after a rocky start where only 26,000 people listened on the first day, and they're 13th on Apple. Just letting you know.
You gave us Tiffany Henyard's latest rap song earlier in the program, which I Feed the People, which wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. I kind of liked it.
You should see the video, too. It's not bad. It's pretty good.
All right, well, she's got a future, if not in politics, then. And with all the money she made in politics as the Thornton Township supervisor in particular, maybe she can finance a rap career. Alessandra Basher is apparently a comedian. Mm-hmm. She's got a pretty good voice. So tell me what you think about this ditty that she penned and sang in tribute to one Elon Musk.
He gave us cars that drive so fast, made rockets built to blast. Oh, thank you, Elon Musk. He took over Twitter's reign. He saved free speech for all, eliminating woke pain. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. Let's occupy Mars. Let's occupy Mars. And making kids to keep mankind alive. Neuralink is on the way. Boring tunnels save the day. Oh, thank you, Elon Musk.
She's in a Cybertruck.
Fighting fights for freedom's sake. Politics, he's not
Driverless car.
afraid. He won't just sit and watch. SpaceX flies, Tesla self-drive, Starlink beams with laser dreams. He's got a master plan for our lives. One more kid, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand. Optimus, Cybercap 2, what can't this man do?
Oh my goodness.
It's taxes, fraud, some solid memes. Corruption won't stay. And Doge saving USA. So here's to you, our tech tycoon, saving Earth and Mars real soon. We thank you, Elon Musk. One more kid, one more brand, launching rockets with just one hand. Optimus, Cybercat 2, what can this man do? Oh, thank you, Musk.
Ooh, I don't know if she's going to be arrested for stalking or be his next baby mama.
She's married with a couple of kids, apparently.
Okay.
But, a plan for mankind is a regrettable line. A little bit. I mean, it's just good voice, like I said. It's a little bit catchy, but it is way too fawning for my taste, that little love letter as a song. Not a fan.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Talking federal judges with Andy McCarthy at 8:08.
It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
He's still trying to figure out how it happened. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is at the heart of the Signal chat controversy and tells Fox.
I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
Waltz says he doesn't yet know how he inadvertently invited a journalist into the group chat discussing military action against Houthi militants in Yemen. Democrats are demanding a full investigation. Here's Senator Tim Kaine.
It's completely unacceptable. It is, it's amateurish beyond belief.
And House Democrats will question the directors of national intelligence and the CIA at a hearing next hour. Atlantic has just released more of the texts that editor Jeffrey Goldberg saw in that chat. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said that no war plans were discussed, but Fox's Peter Ducey reads the new messages just unveiled. He has them at the White House.
He texted the group at one point. At 2:10, more F-18s launch, second strike package. Then at 2:15, strike drones on target, all caps. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop. Pending earlier trigger-based targets. It goes on to explain F-18 strikes, and then he says more to follow.
Though the specific targets in Yemen were not disclosed. The president has signed an executive order that some states might challenge in court, requiring them to get proof of citizenship for voters in federal elections and demanding only ballots received by Election Day be counted.
To sign this one is a great honor.
The president, who claims the 2020 election he lost was rigged, also threatens to pull federal funding from states that don't comply.
And we think we'll be able to end up getting fair elections.
The federal judge who blocked some of President Trump's firings, trying to shrink the government, will hold a hearing today
to decide if a temporary restraining order stays in place to prevent the firing of probationary workers. The order also stops any new terminations. With the injunction in effect, about 25,000 workers are being sought and asked to return to their jobs.
That's Fox's Gernal Scott. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 35 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. House Speaker Mike Johnson suggesting Congress has the power to eliminate some federal courts.
We do have authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. So stay tuned for that.
Speaking Tuesday about federal judges who have ruled against the Trump administration in recent weeks, Johnson noted the constitutional authority given to Congress to ordain and establish courts. Congress has eliminated some courts in the past, including the Commerce Court in 1913 and the Court of Claims and the U.S. Court of Customs and Patent Appeals in 1982. The doctors who took care of Pope Francis say the 88-year-old pontiff was close to death during his recent stay at a Rome hospital. The Pope was admitted in mid-February for a respiratory infection and was finally released 5 weeks later on Sunday. During his stay, he had several breathing emergencies that put his life in danger. A man is in custody after he allegedly was shot while trying to break into a vehicle on the far south side. The incident happened early Tuesday morning near 134th and South Green Bay Avenue. Police said the 21-year-old suspect was confronted by a CCL holder while he was trying to steal a car. The offender was shot once in the leg and then was taken to the hospital in fair condition. He was later placed in custody. News is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Dollar Tree is confirming its Family Dollar business will be sold to investment firms Brigade and McKellum. The Family Dollar business will remain headquartered in Chesapeake, Virginia, which is also where Dollar Tree has its headquarters. Dollar Tree's earnings and revenue for the recent quarter both top forecasts. Dollar Tree shares up 5.5%. Boeing shares down more than 0.5% after a federal judge ordered a trial to proceed in June in a criminal case involving the two fatal 737 MAX crashes. Advanced Auto Parts is making changes. It will be closing 500 more stores, but opening new locations, also closing 4 Advanced Auto Parts distribution centers and 200 independent locations. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola, invested in you.
When you need to talk about what's happening today,
hey, can I talk to you for a second?
There's one place you can come to. The Sean Thompson Show.
Do it! Do it, I dare you. Do it!
Get in the conversation.
Everybody talks about that show. Sounds great, doesn't it?
Weekdays starting at 4.
This is easy.
I like his honesty and his frankness. Every day I listen to him, I learn.
He says what's on his mind. He's real.
Best person out there to listen to. We're combating people who prefer the lie.
He's Sean Thompson, only on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, inbound on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 32 minutes. On the outbound side, going to be very slow, about 41 minutes. It's slow from Ohio to Costner. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 24 minutes. Outbound, about 27 minutes. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data, backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I'll check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds today, high 52. Cloudy tonight, a shower late, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning, breezy, high 54. It'll be a windy day Friday, clouds in the morning, shower and thunderstorm, and a high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Federal district court injunctions. They were almost unheard of before the 1960s. Only 12 were issued against George W., 19 against Barack Obama during each of their two terms, two-term presidents, 19 each, Obama and W. Biden, 28. But Biden was one. It didn't matter, as he famously said in the student loan case. Supreme Court tried to stop me, and they couldn't stop me. And this amid all the hue and cry about Trump allegedly not abiding court orders, which is untrue. Trump, by comparison, so 19 and 19, two terms for W and Obama, 28 for Biden. Trump faced 86 during his first term, almost all issued by Democrat-nominated and confirmed judges. 2 months into the second term, he's already at 15. And there are several that I would argue are so obviously within his authority, like those having to do with his plenary power when it comes to border security, that it really is becoming a bit of a problem. Not a problem that is without remedy from within the court system. And this is a point that is made in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal by Elizabeth Price Foley, who's a law professor at Florida International. She cites, it's an interesting argument, I haven't heard this one, but we've heard, as we discussed yesterday, we've got a pronouncement from Clarence Thomas in the travel ban case back in 2018 speaking to this issue. Alito has spoken to this issue. Maybe it's time for the court to act on this issue. The Rules Enabling Act of 1934. I know it's one of those old laws that are no longer applicable because they're old. This is the argument that was made against the Alien Enemies Act, you remember, just for the last couple of weeks by Democrats. Rules Enabling Act. Nationwide injunctions are issued under Rule 65 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure that was promulgated under this act, this 1934 law. Rule 65 authorizes district courts to issue preliminary injunctions, but is silent as to whether they have nationwide effect or apply only to the parties before the court. This ambiguity can be cleared up by the Supreme Court because the statute empowers the Supreme Court to, quote, prescribe general rules of practice and procedure, unquote, such as the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Okay. Does Professor Foley have something there? Well, let's ask Professor McCarthy. Andy McCarthy joins us now. Of course, he is former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. That would be Manhattan. And contributing editor at National Review, also the author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
What do you think about that argument about that Rules Enabling Act of 1934, and this as the path for the Supreme Court to provide some clarity on the effect of preliminary injunctions issued by district court judges?
Well, that act's actually been invoked a number of times over the years when they tweak the rules of civil procedure. I think it also applies to the rules of criminal procedure as well. So it's not. I think it's a good idea because my view of this, for what it's worth, is that we ought to be pressing on all fronts on this issue. I mean, the hope would be that the Trump administration gets a case in front of the Supreme Court where I think at least three of the justices and potentially more of them, because I think a lot of the justices don't like the emergency docket. I know Justice Barrett doesn't, Chief Justice Roberts doesn't, and Elena Kagan, Justice Kagan, one of the progressive judges, is on record saying that she thought it was loopy that a single district judge in a single district could make policy for the whole country. Of course, she said that while Biden was president. But nevertheless, she is she is on record having said that. So I think, there may be a majority sentiment on the court for the idea that this is not good for the country. And if they would just rule that way in a case, if the issue presented itself, that would be the quickest way of dealing with it. But, there's other proposals. I think there's no perfect way to deal with this because it's a messy system. There's a lot of litigation all over the country, and appeal is a slow process. But I like the idea, I think, of a rule that basically says the judge can only issue a ruling that affects the parties in the case. Mm-hmm. There are other proposals. I think Chip Roy has one. Mike Lee has a similar one where you get like rapid fire appeal. I think Mike Lee's idea is to set up a court for that purpose, like a 3-judge panel that these injunctions would quickly go to. Whereas I think the other proposals are that you don't want to have that just in Washington and no place else. So maybe you let all the circuits do that, but have a process that basically if a judge issues a nationwide injunction, it immediately goes to a 3-judge panel in the circuit for appellate purposes. I think that would be better than what we've got. To my mind, it would be best to just take the authority away from these judges to issue these nationwide injunctions. But to my mind, let a million flowers bloom.
Well, and so what is, barring some legislative action, is the Alien Enemies Act case before the appellate court now, is that the most likely case for the Supreme Court to pick up to perhaps opine on this matter? And if so, what sort of time horizon are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't know if the Alien Enemies Act case is going to do it because I think there's two different issues going on with that case, and there's been a real shift in the emphasis of the case. So I think when it was initially brought in, the issue was, does the president have the authority to invoke the statute when it's not wartime and it's, you could make an argument that there's not an invasion or a predatory incursion as those terms were understood in 1798. That was the argument at the beginning. I think since Judge Boasberg issued his ruling earlier this week, and then the Court of Appeals, the D.C. Circuit, heard the case the same day. The issue now in front of the court is really due process. What they're basically saying is, let's assume for argument's sake that Trump has the authority under the statute to invoke the Alien Enemies Act.
He can't do it in Moss.
The question becomes, well, he can, and maybe he can, but the question is, do they get a right to, whether it's by a class action or individualized, do they get a due process right to challenge their designation as alien enemies under the proclamation? That is to say, assume the proclamation is constitutional and legal and fine. Don't these guys still get a right to contend that they're not what Trump describes in the proclamation? And the Justice Department has now conceded that they do get a right to some due process, which I don't think is going to be much help to the people who are already in the Salvadoran prison, but for the remaining Venezuelans. So that's why I don't think that that case is the vehicle, but there's plenty of cases coming.
Well, which one?
Which one's the?
Yeah, the federal workers case.
I thought the USAID case had a shot, and I think that Judge Amir Ali kind of laid the groundwork for future proceedings. That thing sort of went by the boards, but he also said that he was making he was prepared to make a finding that the administration can't cancel out foreign aid spending that Congress has appropriated. So that's a looming issue that potentially could go up. And I do think you're right that these Doge cases and particularly the one where the judge in California told them to rehire 16,000 people or something. I think that could go up in a hurry.
What about transgenders in the military?
Yeah, that's another
that
case that absolutely go up. Well, look, I think a lot of these cases, I'm at the moment when we started our conversation, I was writing about this undergraduate student at Columbia, who's very similar to the Khalil case, except she beat Khalil to the courthouse. I mean, basically, the feds went out and got Khalil, and this woman decided to get her lawyers to go to the Manhattan federal court before the feds could arrest her, and she got a judge to basically tell the feds not to arrest her at this point. I think the reason I mention this case in the context of the trans case is a lot of these cases, I think, are about the question of who gets to decide. There's one issue about whether, something is reasonable and whether it's in the government's interest to adopt the policy that the Trump administration wants to adopt. And then the second question is, well, who gets to decide what's reasonable? So, in other words, should a federal judge supplant his or her assessment of what military necessity is for the Secretary of Defense's assessment? Or in these cases that involve these Columbia students, if the Secretary of State makes a finding that the continued presence of those students in the United States has bad consequences for American national security, does a federal judge have a right to come in and say, well, I don't think that's reasonable? Or is it, as I believe, a decision that Congress has committed to the executive branch, particularly in the foreign affairs realm, where the executive branch has a lot more authority? I think you could say this about the trans issue too, because the president is the commander in chief. In certain aspects of our governance, the executive has more authority than in other aspects. So, for example, I always thought Trump was on stronger footing going after USAID than he would be, say, trying to close the Department of Education. Because when you're talking about foreign affairs and national security, since the founding of our constitutional government, those powers have been areas where the executive is supreme for obvious reasons. Whereas when you're talking about domestic regulation, that's really Congress's bailiwick, and it's a lot harder for the president to come in and say, I'm not going to spend the money that Congress has appropriated. So, there's a lot of moving parts here, but I think what the Trump administration is going to be looking for is a case where they can go up to the Supreme Court where the issue is something like control of the military or control over foreign affairs or control over foreign spending, where the president has more constitutional authority.
Right. I mean, it's while these federal district court judges are playing whack-a-mole with Trump initiatives, do you have any doubt that ultimately the Supreme Court is going to take up one of these cases that is challenged for the express purpose of dealing with this issue, this fundamentally problematic issue of the power of federal district court judges and the impact of their injunctions?
I do think so, but I don't think it's because I think you and I would probably say this has to be dealt with because otherwise the court is preventing the government from functioning. I think that'll be part of it, but I also think the thing here is it's in the Supreme Court's interest to take a case like this, and the Supreme Court is very good at pursuing its own interests, just like the executive branch can be. Here, I don't think, to go back to the beginning, I don't think the justices like dealing with this emergency docket. And every time a judge issues a preliminary injunction that ends up making national policy, what happens is those cases end up in the Supreme Court lap at a very preliminary stage of the litigation. Mm-hmm. And they have to be dealt with because the district judge has tied the government's hands. And the one who's been, I think, loudest complaining about this is Justice Barrett. And her point is that most cases that come to the Supreme Court, they take a couple of years at least to get there. And by the time they get before the justices, everything is crystallized in terms of what the issues are. They're fully developed factual records. It's not a situation where after the court makes an important ruling, some new facts are going to develop that make it look bad because, they weren't considered when the ruling was made. They don't like the emergency docket. So I think it's in their interest to stop the dynamic that gets these cases up there at that preliminary stage.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Justice Barrett should take judicial notice of how this has been used, is now used in the modern era as a political weapon by both sides. And so deal with this underlying issue that is nebulous. I mean, that's the so it's like she's complaining about something that she sees that she should have sort of full view on. Number one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was not trying to suggest that there was anything.
No, I hear you.
I think she's absolutely. Can I tell you one other thing? Because I looked this up since I thought you'd be interested in it before we got on.
Yeah.
In their 12 years in office, Presidents Obama and Biden appointed 569 judges to the federal court.
Wow.
There were about 833 slots. So I think two things are going on here. Mm-hmm. One is you're dealing with a swath of progressive justices because the Democrats were in office for 12 out of 16 years. And then I think one thing that's very different today than when I first started to practice law in the Stone Age is that culturally, judges don't care as much anymore about getting it right and not being reversed. When I started out as a lawyer, it would always get a trial judge's attention that he or she would or could be reversed by the higher court. They took pride in not getting reversed, even no matter what their political baggage might have been. Nowadays, I think culturally, progressive judges don't care if they're going to get reversed by the higher courts. They prefer to show that they're on the team, and maybe someday that means a progressive administration will, promote them to the circuit court or promote them to the Supreme Court. And these progressive administrations appoint these activist judges precisely because they don't really care what the law says, that they'll crank out progressive results.
They also don't care about obvious ethical conflicts of interest like we see with Boasberg and we've seen with others. But I want to get your reaction to something else, too, because this comes from Speaker Johnson, who, number one, is an officer of the court, and number two, is not prone to hyperbole like many politicians, even in the speaker's chair. He said, we do have authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have the power of funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. I mean, do you take that as just another shot across the bow of John Roberts to say you better deal with this?
Yeah, I do. I mean, because as a political matter, it's a dead letter, right? I mean, I don't know that he has I don't think he has a majority in his caucus for that position, and it would be a non-starter in the Senate where you'd need 60.
And one other thing. Speaking of Johnson and Republicans in Congress, is there anything on these matters that they should be doing rather than just piling on, in back of Trump on the federal district court judges that are enjoining his policies? Anything Congress could be doing on any of these issues that they haven't taken up?
Yeah, I thought, and I wrote about this a couple of days ago, I thought that rather than talk about impeaching judges, which is another non-starter, I mean, it's just not ever going anyplace, I think it would be, in connection with the Venezuelan case in particular, I think Congress ought to enact, I think Republicans ought to propose in Congress laws that give Trump the unquestioned authority that he's claiming by construing the Alien Enemies Act. And you could also curtail, because Congress is in charge of the court's jurisdiction. So there's a lot of statutes that basically say, if the secretary or the president or someone makes a decision, the courts can't review that. They could be enacting some law, and even if, because of the tightness of the margin in the House and the fact that you need 60 in the Senate, maybe they can't get it through. but it puts the Democrats in the position of defending Tren de Aragua. To my mind, if that's what the if the Democrats want to defend the Venezuelan regime and Tren de Aragua, the Republicans will let them do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of Manhattan, contributing editor, National Review, author of the bestseller Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I should have done it sooner. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And that's what a number of people say to me when they come up and talk to me about QC Kinetics. Why did I wait so long? So let me ask you a question to see if whether or not you're a good candidate for QC Kinetics. Do you have trouble sleeping, walking, day-to-day movement? Do you want to avoid surgery and all the pain, the long recovery, and the uncertainty that comes with it? Do you miss doing things like golfing, jogging, playing pickleball? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, I bet you're a great candidate. So please don't wait. Contact our good friends at QC Kinetics right now and ask for your free consultation. Learn how the latest advances in regenerative medicine can help you and give you lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, this is interesting. There's actually an SEIU member in CPS that's a Republican. And of course, because she's a Republican, SEIU is attempting to eject her or otherwise punish her for social media posts that I looked at and are, positively within the bounds of propriety. But anyway, we're going to talk to her about what's happening to her at the hands of her union, the Purple People Beaters, at 8:38.
I've been there, sister. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team 35 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is taking responsibility for a recent information leak. This week, Atlantic journalist Jeffrey Goldberg reported he was added to a group text with multiple high-ranking officials discussing plans for U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. In a report with Lauren Ingram, Waltz says he takes full responsibility for putting the group together. During the interview, Waltz implied Goldberg somehow deliberately appeared in the group, calling the journalist a loser. Mayor Johnson has only a few days to figure out how to close the Chicago budget gap. One of the main issues involves his effort to get the Chicago Public Schools to reimburse the city for a disputed pension payment. Board of Education President Sean Hardin postponed a vote last week on approving a $175 million pension payment from CPS to the city. It was a clear sign that there wasn't enough votes. Hardin said the delay was due to an imminent contract agreement with the Chicago Teachers Union. Over the weekend, 7 board members sent Hardin a letter saying they will not vote for a pension payment. Mayor Johnson's office says that they will continue working with the board to find a solution. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off of any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RIT.com. Again, that's AIR-RIT.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Charlie Kirk believes being in America is a privilege, not a right.
Would we have let this man into our country in the first place, knowing he was a public Hamas propagandist who participates in illegal protests? Staying in America is not a right. It is a privilege. And Mahmoud Kamil threw this privilege away.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. My father was a union ironworker, just like his father. But while he inherited his father's skill, he did not inherit his tolerance for taking orders from union bosses. He needed a change, something that was his, something where he could call the shots. So he started a janitorial company. His company cleaned grocery stores and airplane hangars, dentist office and construction sites, hardware stores and restaurants. As his business expanded, so did the complexity of managing it, especially the taxes. Preparing tax returns requires records, and Dad just never got accustomed to keeping good records. That was a mistake. It cost him his business. Initially, I followed my father and grandfather and became a union iron worker, third generation. I'm very proud of that legacy. Now I'm a tax attorney. I help business owners protect what they've built. Fighting back against the IRS is personal to me. If you own a business and have tax troubles, fight back. Go to fightbacknow.com. That's fightbacknow.com, or call 312-664-6649. Become a freedom fighter today.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this a new coating?
Well, yeah, but...
It's so smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting a new coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, huh. That's cool, too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor this spring. Mention Amy Jacobson to receive $500 off any new project. Visit level10coatings.com to schedule today, or call 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Hey folks, your friend Sean Hannity here. Sadly, imagine a scenario where you or your loved ones face a threat. Your first instinct might be to resort to lethal force, but it is crucial to consider a safer, less lethal alternative first to avoid the legal complications associated with deadly firearms. Byrna's less lethal pistol launcher is equipped with tear gas, kinetic ammunition. It's designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Here's a real-life account from a Byrna customer named Adam. Now, Adam encountered a road rage driver who aggressively approached him. Adam dialed 911, armed himself with his Byrna launcher. He aimed a laser at the aggressor's chest. The driver returned to his vehicle and awaited the police. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. It requires no background checks, can be shipped directly to your door. Just go to Byrna.com/Hannity. You get 10% off as a discount. That's BYRNA.com/Hannity. And check out their videos while you're there.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group. Hosted by Craig and Leslie Bolanos Sunday mornings at 10. Learn more at investwithwmg.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hawksburg Traffic Center, inbound on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 32 minutes. On the outbound side, going to be very slow, about 41 minutes. Slow from Ohio to Costner. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 24 minutes. Outbound, about 27 minutes. The support is sponsored by Lowe's. Springfest and Ego Days are here at Lowe's right now. Get a free Select Ego 56-volt battery with a purchase of a Select Ego trimmer, blower, or mower kit. They help you save. Offer valid through April 2nd. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Sunshine and a few clouds around the area today. High 52. Cloudy with a shower in spots late tonight, low 41. Clouds, a stray shower tomorrow morning. Breezy, high 54. Increasingly windy on Friday. Shower and thunderstorm, the high 74. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Ramona Bonilla Anile is chief union steward for the Chicago Public Schools. She's a bargaining team member and three-term elected executive board member of SEIU Local 73.
What do you call them? The purple people
beaters. Yeah, they're thugs.
Oh. No, not all of them.
Not all of them. I'm saying sort of at
friends.
the leadership level. Culturally, they are. Obviously, not every member. We're going to talk to Ramona Bonilla Anile. I don't think she's a thug.
No, and I know a lot of members, too, that are Republicans. So
yeah. Well, I know a lot of members that are like Jerry Morrison, who I don't know if he's still there. Jerry Morrison is a vile, foul-mouthed buffoon, which is why this case is so comical to me. The stuff that he would post on social media, I mean, vile, profane, vile, disgusting, ignorant.
Oof.
Yeah. So, but now they're minders of proper discourse. Yeah. SEIU is very concerned about the civility of our political discourse. I mean, it's comedy, but Ramona Bonilla Anile is also the elected Republican committee woman for the 31st Ward, which is the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood. She is being whistled before the SEIU High Court for crimes of political civil discourse, and it's for things. And I've got some of her postings that I guess are the basis of this disciplinary action. She's like she reposts stuff with a little commentary. Like, for example, she reposts something from TikTok where the headline was Boston Mayor Wu, other mayors may face criminal prosecution for sanctuary policies, House Republicans say. And she had the comment, beautiful, begin the process and don't forget the Chicago mayor's office. Okay.
All right. That's
not too controversial.
Not inflammatory, no.
She posted, she reposted a video from YouTube, PBS. Schools brace for immigration arrests after Trump administration changes ICE policy. That's the story. And she commented, yeah, it's not the children's fault. It's the mom and dad knowing they came here illegally. These teachers are not teaching our students. They are indoctrinating our children. True story. Again, not exactly beyond the bounds of discourse, of civil discourse, in addition to being substantively true.
And she has a right to free speech and freedom of expression, but okay.
Well, she got a Dear Ramona letter from the SEIU brass. Diane Palmer is the president of this local 73 of SEIU. Violation of Article 20 of the bylaws, violation, with all these various sections and so on and so forth. I guess we'll get into. It's the violation is of the sort. For example, no member shall discriminate or advocate discrimination against any other member on the basis of race, creed, color. I mean, those comments are not discriminatory in nature; they're policy in nature. But therein lies the rub. And our conversation with Ramona Bonilla Anile, who joins us now. Ramona, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me in your show. Thank you so much.
So have I properly sort of summarized the case against you?
You said everything right on point.
Look at you.
That's what I do. All right, so Ramona, give us some color here. How this all went down. I mean, it's not like you're a newbie. You're on the executive board. You've been around for a couple of decades. You're in CPS. So It's not like you just came to these views. Probably not the first time you've expressed these views. So why are they coming after you now?
Okay, so let me tell you what happened. I've been in Chicago Public Schools now for 19 years. The principal had called me on January 26th to the office because he had some concerns because of my social media. He said, I know it's your First Amendment and your civil rights, but I have some concerns because it was brought up to my attention. I said, okay, and I wanted to talk to you about the protocol. I'm like, okay, what protocol? And then he continued to say, well, if any agents come here to the school or anybody from the government come here, you're not supposed to give information or anything because it's a violation of privacy and confidentiality and all this stuff. And I said, okay, I know that. And then I said, well, first of all, I'm not administration. Second of all, I'm not security. Third of all, I'm the SECA, which is Special Education Classroom Assistant. I work with the children in the classroom, so there's no way I'm going to open the doors, and there's no way I'm going to let anybody in without any permission because I'm not administration. So ever since then, that he's the only one that knew about that. All of a sudden, Diane Palmer sends me a letter that I'm discriminatory, racist, homophobic, transphobic, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And then I put two and two together. The principal must have sent her this information, and she's now saying all this stuff about me when I don't have anything against anybody. I'm not racist. I'm not any of that. I work with so many different people, so many different children, and I never had any problem in 19 years. They gave me an evaluation. I always got a 3 or 4, and they gave me an evaluation, a mid-evaluation of a 2.2 because they want to get rid of me because they think I'm going to get information and give it out to ICE or whatever they're thinking. So Diane Palmer sends me this with all these pictures and all my comments on there. So they could determine my pathway of getting rid of me. They've been trying to get rid of me since 2017, since the beginning of the bargaining, when I was in the bargaining table, and I didn't agree to some of the stuff that they wanted to do. So they wanted me out of there since 2017. This board that's sitting there and some that are not, they're new, but that are there, they want me out. And since they know I'm the Republican committee woman, and I'm against a lot of things that they're saying and they're doing. So they want me out of there. They want me out of that seat so they can take me out of school and the union.
But you're on the executive board, as you said, and you were on the collective bargaining team. But you're elected by the members, right?
Yes, three consecutive terms, and I campaigned for Diane Palmer. I did everything for Diane Palmer. So if I was racist, why would I campaign for Diane Palmer?
Or even more to the point, what does Diane Palmer say about being supported by a racist now? That's how she's terming you.
Well, let me tell you something. I tried to reach out to her so we could talk and let her know. She didn't answer my phone calls. She didn't want to talk to me. She's not talking to me. Now she called each and every board member to talk about the issue to try to take me out of my seat because some of them have already told me. And she has been the bargaining team. We have a chat, and in that chat they have all kinds of stuff. They like censor me, like they don't answer me, they don't talk to me. I chat like before, they will answer me and stuff like that. And you should see the stuff that they put on there about Donald Trump. They even posted
I'd love to.
Comments.
Maybe they can include me like Walls included Jeffrey Goldberg in their chat room.
That'd be fun.
And this chat, one of the board members, she put it on her TikTok that her favorite monkey is Donald Trump, and then they have Donald Trump as a monkey. But isn't this racist? But she's a board member. And then we have her chief of staff.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have her chief of staff that's a socialist. Her chief of staff is a socialist, and you should see all his posts gathering all the members, organized and promoting crime, because promoting Tesla. I can send you all this information. Tesla organization, and they just got so much hate crime on their signs and stuff like that. And this is her chief of staff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me, that I'm racist and I'm all the stuff that she's calling me.
Well, we all know what's going on here because that's the bottom line, because of your political beliefs. And they have a right to free speech, but you don't, because you don't align with what they believe in. I've been there, sister. Correct. It sucks. So how are you protecting yourself? How are you fighting back?
I've been trying to reach out to these lawyers, the GOP lawyers. Nobody's really want to get into this. I don't know why, but this is important. Nobody has been helping me. I have a lawyer, Frank Avila, is the one that's supposed to be representing me, but he's not answering my emails. He's not answering my texts. And then I have to get a hold of Abbasi to get a hold of him. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I really need help. I really need help, and I don't want to leave this alone. I want to expose these people. These people are nothing but liars. I will defend the members of work. I've been doing that for the past 19 years, helping members. I mean, you should see these members are getting fired. They're not getting represented correctly. I'm telling you, I am proof. I am there. I have to fight. And then they want to get me for unprofessionalism because I call these managers and supervisors out and tell them, you're harassing our members. You're harassing our people. And they're saying that I am out of control or I'm unprofessional. That's what they're trying to get me on.
Boy, SEIU brass calling someone unprofessional. Boy, we talk about living in glass houses. By the way, is that Cretan Jerry Morrison's not there anymore, is he? You must have been there when he was there.
I don't think he's there.
Yeah. It sounds like they got a new Jerry Morrison, the way you're describing Diane Palmer's chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
Mm-hmm. I might be able to help you with a lawyer. We'll talk about that offline. But
thank you so much.
What kind of response from you were elected by the members? This is an important note. What kind of response are you getting from the members now that this is circulating?
Okay, let me get some of the from my thing. One member. Let me go to my text messages.
I mean, you could just sort of characterize it. We don't need it verbatim necessarily.
Okay. One member said that that's wrong what they're doing to me, and he says, good luck. There's several of custodians that will be there in the hearing. I told them to please come and tell their stories because they're still not being heard. They're still being harassed. Some of them are going on Saturday. There's a custodian that was harassed by a principal. Assistant principal. She's no longer there. And he's still on a leave. He's still on a grievance. They still haven't done nothing for him. He's still sitting at home. Thank God he's getting paid. But I fought for him also. I fought for him like crazy. Others are like, they're saying that this is ridiculous what she's doing to me.
What is the disciplinary action? I mean, I think we've characterized the disciplinary action you're facing, the accusation, but what is the potential punishment that could be imposed upon you by the union?
Well, I can't say her name, but she used to work and she was fired. Or she quit because she said she was quit, but she was going to get fired by Diane Palmer. And she told me that what they're really looking for is to get me off my seat and get me out of the board. And once they get me out of the board, then CPS could proceed in firing me.
Okay. And I mean, when you have these internal disciplinary actions, aren't you supposed to get representation for this process from within the union? You know, that lawyers they have on retainer, that sort of thing.
She never explained. Nobody has to explain anything. They're not talking to me. Diane Palmer's not answering her calls. Nobody in the union is answering my calls. I tried to talk to Tremaine Reeves. He's director. He says he can't talk to me about the situation, that he could talk to me about the members and me as a steward, going back and forth with him. But on behalf of this, he can't because he's also on the board. So I really don't know the process. And I'm like, going crazy. And thank God that person that is giving me advice on how to go about all this, even the secretary that used to work for Diane Palmer, she quit because she says that she couldn't work with Diane because Diane Palmer wouldn't give her receipts and information that she needed, and she was scared that something might happen and go down, and she wasn't going to get blamed for it, so she quit. And she's been through like 4 or 5, maybe 6. I'm not sure. I lost count of secretaries coming in and out of that office for Diane Palmer.
So, I mean, you talked about the other person that was that essentially Diane Palmer moved on and got fired. I mean, is it your sense that there is a political purge going on in SEIU to get rid of anybody who is an outspoken Republican?
Yes, or not Republican, but anybody that is outspoken and it doesn't align to her agenda. So whoever doesn't align to her agenda, she gets rid of them, fire them, or like me, trying to get me out of my seat. So that's exactly what's happening. And it's a shame because I campaigned for this woman for 3 consecutive terms, and this is what I get from her.
Ramona Bonilla-Anile, she's a chief union steward, Chicago Public Schools, bargaining team member and 3-term elected executive board member of SEIU Local 73, and also the elected GOP committee woman for the 31st Ward. Ramona Bonilla-Anile, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you telling your story, and we'll stay in touch with you here as this as your fight continues. But appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for hearing my story. Thank you so much, and I hope that I get help because we have to expose these people.
Yep, and stay strong. Don't let the turkeys get you down. That's for sure. It's no way to live. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Hey there. We are MS Consulting Services. Old school IT consulting with cutting-edge results. We're a firm that is genuinely excited and proud to serve our clients. We entered the business world nearly 30 years ago and have since shared our expertise with clients nationwide. We specialize in system administration for legacy operating systems like OpenVMS and Unix, providing continuity assurance for your staff and systems. Our focus on personal connections helps establish lasting relationships, offering a deeper sense of fulfillment, all while maintaining a stable IT infrastructure. Seem like a nice change of pace? Check us out. You'll know what we're all about after just one call. Give us a ring at 1-800-MIT-0404 or visit mscsinc.com. Again, that's 1-800-MIT-0404 or visit mscsinc.com.
People ask us, when's the best time to replace an old furnace? Simple. Before it breaks. At Air Ride Heating and Cooling, we know there's never a good time to be without heat, especially in Illinois. If you can't remember the last time your furnace was inspected, get some peace of mind by having Air Ride take a look. Plus, AM 560 listeners get $56 off any service. Visit Air Ride Heating and Cooling today at air-rite.com. That's AIR-RITE.com. Air Ride Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, we'll definitely keep in touch with Ramona, that's for sure. Dan, anything in closing? Any tales of heroism on the golf course there for you?
No.
No?
I shot 74 yesterday.
Oh, where'd you play?
At Bonita Bay, Cypress course.
Must have been nice.
Yeah, playing better.
Good.
I'm pleased with some progress I'm making.
You're so
Thanks
humble.
for checking.
All right. Thanks to Keith Conrad and to Justin Kosick. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a wonderful day. It is now 9 a.m.
It's fresh material for